we are unmuted.
Unmuted.
Unmuted. So, to let everybody know, I had a lot of like sound issues over the course of the week. So when I talk and when everyone else talks, if you can't hear us, please let us know, because I might have to, rejigger a couple of levels or something, and get something work, because yeah, this is doing real weird right now. I think I need to up my gain a little bit because I'm not even cresting yellow.
Oh, jeez, dude.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Well, we can provide some counterpoint and let people hear what's going on. So, hopefully, if there's any difference, then
Okay. Justin, it looks like you're good. Andy, could you talk for a little bit without like...
No, I don't feel like it. I'm a real shy person who doesn't like to be heard.
Okay.
I don't like to monologue either. That would be weird.
So, Andy...
Why did you play the diplomat?
Andy, I'm going to have to up a little bit, so I will jump you up to 130, and we'll see how that works when you get back. Travis, can you talk a little bit?
Sure. This will be where I normally am talking.
So that's...
Is this A-okay?
Yeah, you're in yellow and cresting red, so you're good.
Okay, then I can easily
Now,
just
Chris.
lean back a bit.
And it looks like I'm still just in green. So,
Absolutely brutal, dude.
absolutely brutal, dude.
Go ahead and just
And
get right up on that mic for us.
This is what we're dealing with. All of this right here. Yay.
Starch Bomb says Travis is loud.
Thanks.
Travis.
I've been told that before.
All right. So Travis is
you're
loud.
You're real loud.
I have Travis
Yeah, I
at
know.
only 100%. So Travis is loud. I'll drop him to 90 and I'll see if that
Well,
works.
on top of that, it's a habit that I have, especially while talking, is I constantly move the microphone
Yeah.
because for some reason that's just what I do. So at times I'll be quieter, sometimes I'll be louder. I apologize.
Yeah. I was listening to the first couple of episodes, and I realized that for God, like the first 10, maybe 15, I was doing this a lot where I would get up real close to the mic, and the getting up close to the mic is fine because, like the volume didn't really change because I would speak a little bit quieter, but every now and then you just heard me go. I was like, man, I got to get a little bit more distance so that you don't hear me just being disappointed at you guys.
I love that though. It's like we're in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like you're disappointed at me in real life.
I've missed this.
I haven't, but it's got to come. It comes all the time.
I mean, if I'm not disappointing somebody, am I truly alive?
Am I even truly alive?
I'm not making somebody upset with me. I don't know.
All right. Testy. Test. This is probably... Oh, that's a bit loud. Drop the gain a little bit. This is probably where I'm going to be and how loud I'm going to be talking for the entire night. So hopefully this works. It's not a John Eric game if he's not expressing disappointment. Starch Bomb knows me as a game runner, even though she has never had me as a game runner, which is kind of great.
Yeah, apparently your reputation precedes you.
It's spread by word of disappointment.
Yeah. We were having this great talk at my game yesterday, because one of the players couldn't make it, and we were saying like,
Sounds like
you guys have been in my games long enough that you know that there's a point that I get to where I'm like, I don't want to run this game, and like I enjoy running the game sort of as I'm running it, but then as soon as the game stops, I'm just like, ugh. One of the players is like, John's clearly at that point where he like just doesn't want to do it anymore, and I was like, you're not totally wrong, but you're not totally right. Like I'm almost there. And he goes, we should just switch to something else so that when Cole comes back, he has no idea what's going on, and we don't tell him. We like speak around it. So we don't say like, hey, everybody make sure that you bring your new sheets for the new game. We just go like, everybody make sure that you have like your sheets on Monday. Have your sheets and your dice for the game. And just let him show up to play Witcher, and we're all playing like superheroes or Star Wars or something.
Wonderful.
And
then he's forced to use that character sheet.
And then use that character sheet.
I feel like a Witcher in Star Wars could be reasonably effective.
I feel like
I
The
don't-
Witcher
I
and
don't know
Star
about that.
Wars. I feel like The Witcher and Star Wars would be nightmarish because it's all about killing monsters, and a lot of the Star Wars races are like,
You step into a cantina and I butcher everybody.
I kill
It's really
everything
that or
what
sex.
ain't humanoid, and many things what are humanoid.
That sucks. There, I did it. Now pay me. You murderer!
I always liked that the Star Wars aliens always looked alien because the Star Trek aliens always looked like humans that like fucked up while they were shaving, or that had like weird bones, like bone growths on their face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
And somebody explained it to me as like they eventually go over it in Star Trek, and they're like, yeah, it's because everybody was made by like the same progenitor species or something. And I was like, okay, sure, like why not?
Nice little hand wave.
Yeah, nice little hand wave, like
A wizard did it.
a wizard. Just hand
It's
wave. It's the magic. Ain't gotta explain
Scientifically,
shit.
no.
Of
Yeah.
how did he even do that nonsense? Magic. Ain't gotta explain shit. Oh, all right.
Fair enough.
I mean, have you met Q? Come on, guys. Like,
I haven't.
oh, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
whole
I
joke
got nothing
just-
then.
Yeah, just went entirely over your head. And I don't know how to remedy that.
I guess me watching whatever thing you said.
Look,
Oh, oof. Okay.
as someone who has watched some Star Trek, don't.
Nah, I'm a Star Wars dude.
Yeah.
Like like if somebody's excited about Star Trek, like I'll get down with it. But when I go home, it's a Star Wars. It's a Star Wars household.
We fight in our stars. We don't journey across them.
Yeah. Ugh.
So,
They've gone to these places before. I like those places.
A show about discovery? No, give me war.
Oh, hey.
Give
No
me
one's here.
war in known places.
mhm.
I really.
I am
So,
here in the most technical of senses.
so our Discord names right now are Danish chef, Finnish cook, Norwegian chef, Swedish chef, and Pickle D Menace Esquire. And I really like being the lawyer in the all chef group.
Yeah.
I also
And then
like
we-
that you're the only like thing that could be used as an ingredient.
I mean, have you had ground grumble punk?
I
Pretty
like
good.
that Grumble Punk is both an ingredient and a chef.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would it be? Come on.
Grumble punks are like the first fashionable cannibals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think I just hold on.
Hey, did I actually make it before game started?
Yeah.
No.
We were
didn't.
actually finishing up.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a good game.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
fair.
we've just
Okay.
sort of been BSing because you were going to be late and Eric was going to be late, and Mike can't play anymore. So going from 6 players to 3 real quick, I was like, I can BS. We can talk about nothing for like 10 minutes. But if
Yeah,
you're
we're
here
good
and
at it.
Eric's here, we can get started. Last week we were still in the great city of Starlasker. We started with people wanting to do basically just a couple of little final things, getting ready, and everybody had to stop by the House Thrash Conclave to basically speak with Gerald Thrashk and some of the other people with her, including Reynard and Clovis, who were the people leading the dig, that the dig just kind of went down and managed to enter Spearhold from the other side. So you guys basically went through some tunnels and entered the Undercity from the sort of like southeast, and they entered it from the like northwest. And they traded some map information to Sharut in exchange for saying that if they found basically that they would work with Darlal, and if they found any key goblin artifacts, they would hand those over. But they have to be sort of key goblin artifacts. It's not just every single +1 shield or +1 sword or whatever. But for the most part, they also aren't necessarily down there looking for artifacts. They're down there looking for dragon shards. That is what they do. So, after talking with them, bargaining for a bit, they they wanted to thank everybody for what they had done in saving Geralt and saving a bunch of the miners and the delvers. And they said that they would give you all, basically they gave you all money, and they also gave you all like essentially a writ of favor. And that writ of favor went out one to each of you except for Quintus, and it can be cashed in for one favor from the house or two favors from Geralt specifically. Since Geralt is a pretty skilled scout and ranger, that's why you would go for her instead of the house. And after that, Quintus decided that he would speak to the city and see what he could get from, the city as far as some interesting facts on things going on and on Hercule and the sort of stranglehold Hercule was trying to get on the city. And what he found out is that Hercule already owns a large portion of the south of the city. And by owns, I don't necessarily mean legally owns. I mean he runs most of the Vathi districts at this part, which are sort of here and here, and a lot of the stuff around like the air dock and the sort of slum districts near the southern wall. Basically because a lot of the people that managed to survive the morning were the people in his old gang. They weren't there for it, and so they managed to move in and very quickly start gaining some power in Starlasker. And what Quintus discovered is that like he might be gaining power a bit too quickly, and that the city tends to equalize itself. It's part of being on the manifest zone of Risia. The city tends toward stasis, and change can happen. It's either slow or it's a struggle. And he is maybe going a bit too hard, a bit too fast. So what Quintus advised him of was do more, go faster. And he wrote a letter to Hercule and said all of that to him. He also found out, if we look at the map of Corvair, that there is some potential delving going to go on in this area. This right here is a mountain. You can't really tell on this map, but there's a little mountain next to Lake Bray, and there's some talk of digging a trench from the west of Starlasker all the way over to Lake Bray to go around it, because that would open the city up to actual like river travel. They would basically dig so much that the city would become a port town, and it would become a port town on the lake, which opens it up to the Bray River, which opens it up to actually this part isn't the Bray River, but I don't know what they call it, but all the way up to the lake around Thronehold, and all of this. It would become even more of a trading hub. And so Quintus used this information to say, hey, we should buy all of this. So that's something that he can look into later. And at that, I believe the group left the town. And as they left the town, after a little while, they came across basically a pungent smell of blood in the air. And DeLeon was like, I'm going to go check this out. And he went and checked it out and found a wagon that had just been like not just sort of torn apart, but the people in it had been very torn apart and just kind of painted over the rocks. And it wasn't necessarily eaten. It was just kind of like ripped to shreds. And he went and told everybody, we should leave. And everybody went, we should investigate. And he went, but wait. And then they investigated, and an ambush was sprung by two ghost tigers. Let me see if I can find full art for the ghost tigers from Eberron, because it's ridiculous. Look at that. So good. These are the ghost tigers. They are these gigantic white and black furred, ridiculous looking tigers. I don't know why the lower jaw sticks out so much farther than the upper jaw. But 2 of them ran out of the woods. 1 of them tore at Lumio, the other one tore at Delian, and then they just bolted away after somebody just kind of smacked them on the nose. They just left, and the crew was left sort of like picking up their comrades and fixing a few wounds, and then they got into the wagon, and they decided that they weren't going to stop, they weren't going to rest, they weren't going to do anything that wasn't just go, go, go. And they managed to actually make it all the way to Exile, and they just sort of pulled into Exile very late at night, let's see, no, not Newseer. I totally would have missed it. It was right there the whole time. They pulled into Exile very late at night, and once in Exile, they went to the inn, which is here. It's the inn called the High Hawk, which they were at before, and they parked the wagon, and then they were like, screw this, we are going to bed, because it was very late, and 2 of them were nearly dead. And that is where we left off. So, ladies and jelly spoons, what would you like to do? We can say that you guys get a nice night of sleep that I'm assuming somebody will pay the 16 gold to get, since you're grabbing some of the rooms. And what would you like to do once you get up?
Head home.
Leave.
Just leaving?
Well, make salves,
Okay.
but then leave.
So
do
you
regular
wake up.
maintenance.
Yeah, you're maintaining everybody's stuff. How many people can you maintenance at this point?
I can maintenance myself and 4 additional.
Yourself and 4 additional. Who would like
So,
to grab a maintenance?
Take a maintenance.
Jarut, Leon,
I'm thinking I should take a maintenance.
Romeo, and Fortune.
Uh,
Oh my god. Sweet Jesus.
And maintenance summons a demon child. Oh no!
Who
Oh
arrives?
no, I've accidentally a child.
Maintenance summoned a demon child who arrived
Hold
offering
on.
cake.
Once
Bearing cake.
Do you want some cake, Eric?
I
Roll
would
for
like
initiative.
I guess I have to get a cake.
Don't fumble while eating the cake, okay? Make sure you.
But
roll
yeah,
high.
so I will excuse or exclude Quintus and Tertia.
Okay.
I just doesn't feel bad about this. This is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tertia just cause like I assume
Fuck
she's just
Mike.
like, why? We're not in a dungeon. You peasant.
Honestly, I believe you have offered it to Tertia before, and she refused to allow you to touch her weapons. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my god. All right. Hold on. Wait. What?
Yeah, maybe you should go push to talk there for a little bit, Eric, because it seems like Zach really wants you to have that cake, and you were going to have it.
Yeah. And
He's
if
going-
not, he's gonna describe it to you.
There is no
Take the
choice.
cake, Father.
You're going to enjoy that cake. You have no choice.
Now chew it in front of me.
That's weird. That right there is weird.
But
Yes,
I don't really
Father.
want to do that. No, but you're gonna. All right. So, in the town of Exile, is there
Okay.
anything that any of you would like to do or have done? Anything that any of you are looking for? It's not an exceptionally inviting place, but there is things that you can look into or have done if you'd like.
Yes, I would love to see if I can find Exile because I owe him payment, and then barring that, or as well as reading the new book I have.
Yeah. So to track down Exile, is going to be, let's see, I believe
I knew
that's
somebody was gonna do it.
Gather information check.
Yeah,
Um,
diplomacy.
Hold on.
Yeah, I don't think there's a gather information on this one.
Well, gather information is a thing you can do with diplomacy.
That's
Oh,
So, yeah, you can gather information to try to find out more to try to find Exile. Specifically, you're looking for Exile of Garenford, correct?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So yeah, you can try making a diplomacy check to try to find Exile of Garenford. Gather information is one of those where, like, if you're willing to put money into this, it does have the potential to go faster.
Yeah,
So
I can put some money into it.
okay. Yeah. How much would you like to grease people's palms here?
Because we gained a buttload of gold. Am I
You
right?
you did. Like, after everything was sold and Dandarin started portioning everything off, I think everybody gained something like $2,000.
Okay,
That
that's
is
what
correct.
I thought.
So
Everyone
yes, you do
gained
have a
a
good amount
share.
of money.
2,315 gold.
So I made this point last time, and I'm going to bring it up again. Is that including adding for a party share?
Yes, the party share is currently only at 451. I didn't put as much into it, plus a bunch of silver and some copper, and then a separate share, which I also stated was like 403, which was for Sidnet.
So,
Okay. Because there was already party cash of like 450 gold. So you added.
No, that was I combined yours with mine, but we spent a bunch because we had to pay the big exorbitant fee for the fancy place, and then we had to pay thing here, and then there was one other thing I think that we did, but I don't recall it.
So, how much, Travis, to get back to
Yeah.
you, would you like to grease the palms here?
I could do 200. I am going to be killing my cat. Just one moment. But yeah,
Fuck off!
It's funny because we hear Travis, but not his cat.
That's
No,
great.
the literal first thing that I heard when Travis joined the Discord was you heard the little like bloom of somebody joining, and then like real loud. It was really loud.
he's such a loud cat. It's absolutely infuriating sometimes.
So
So, 200 gold, I was thinking.
okay, yeah, go ahead and give me a diplomacy roll.
Sure.
Okay, well, with your 29, 200 gold's a lot of money.
I want to make sure I get this done because Exile looks like a guy not to fuck with.
He is the kind of man who's willing to stab anyone for money. So yeah,
I
And
like
if
how
I
you
don't pay him,
say
I don't
that.
want to have like him wake up going like, "You didn't pay me," and then I'm dead.
I like how you say that, but you spent the first 3 sessions fucking with Exile.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
except money wasn't involved.
yeah, money wasn't involved. He was just pissing him off. Now there's money involved, and he's like, I gotta make this guy my friend.
Because he was on contract and so was I. Therefore, there was some things that needed to. There was a quid pro quo sort of establishment involved. There's none of that now.
So you find that Exile can and I mean it takes you a little while. It will actually, because I have to roll for this. Ooh, it'll take you about 4 hours. So
Okay.
you're sort of like, it's rough to ask for information here. Exile, the town, is a place where people come to disappear. So when somebody starts asking information about somebody there, they tend to just not talk.
They're not there.
And so
Makes sense.
the other problem is that the sort of name scheme of the town,
Is Exile from place?
yes. And there are apparently 3 people in town named Exile of Garenford, which you kind of realize once you track down Exile of Garenford, and she is not the person who you intended to talk to.
No.
She is a very, very ugly looking, old, one-armed, one-legged dwarven woman. And, like, this woman has clearly been through some things. And you just go like, and she goes, "You probably wanted one of the other ones. Get out of here."
It happens often. Okay, I'll see myself out. Popular people. Exile of Garenford.
But you find out that there's basically there's a little like pond over in this area, and there's a bar that is kind of built on this rickety little dock that overlooks that pond called the Wet Clam, and he apparently hangs out at the Wet Clam.
Cool. Then that's where I will be going.
All right. So you you head to the Wet Clam, and it looks like the kind of place where you would fit in until you inevitably piss somebody off enough to start a bar brawl.
Yeah, that's when I leave.
Yeah. But yeah, sure does look like that kind of place.
Fantastic.
You know, grease a few more palms, you pay the bartender, drop some more coins, and eventually the bartender will tell you, "Oh, you mean Garenford? He's not here."
Great.
But I can send the back lad to go get him. Is
Oh,
that what
yeah.
you want?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I want.
You want to give me a name?
Oh, my name? How about I can give you a name, but I could also give you my name.
You should probably give me a name that he knows. Otherwise,
Oh, yeah.
he's not really going to show up, and you just probably like to get stabbed once you leave.
Not really fond of that. Yeah, you can tell him Delean's looking for him.
All right, I'll tell the back lad. Go tell Garenford that Delane's looking for him.
Yeah, that's what I would like him to say. Yeah.
And slide a couple more coins, a few more coins for the lad from the back, which you know as either the lad from the back or the back lad, because all that the guy who runs the Wet Clam calls him is lad.
Mm-hmm.
And
I make sure I give him the dingiest of my coins.
I'm giving him the most bitten gold.
Yes, exactly that.
And eventually the kid will arrive about 20 minutes later, and he'll just kind of like come in and look at you and nod, and then go back into the back of the tavern. And
What a shitty job.
and a few minutes after that, you'll see that like just that dude who just radiates that whole sense of like he's the right kind of people. He's not it's people like Delean can just sort of recognize those people that are like the right kind of people.
Yeah.
The kind of people that can only function at like the edges of society. And
Yeah, living in that gray zone.
yeah, Exile of Garenford is someone who looks like he could barely fit in here in this town. He just looks dirty. He looks dingy. He still has that knife that just looks like it has this shitty rusted blade on it. And it
Probably
looks,
never lets it go.
it looks like if he needed to, he could probably easily stab, if not kill, a couple people in this room without like thinking about it.
Yeah.
And
Sounds like the exile I know.
And he will just kind of look around, and you see him do that thing where he just like looks around, and he's good at taking in all the corners of the room. And then he moves forward, and he doesn't like just approach you. He moves towards you, and then he approaches you from the other side. He like fully circles you and comes from the other side so that he can look at the door.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah,
Like I said, for a job well done, you get half.
you know your Warforged friend made enemies."
Oh, I'm not surprised. This group's very likable, and in a town like this, very unlikable. A bunch of above the lars.
Some things were gonna happen last night. They didn't.
Oh,
Only because I was hoping you might pay me. Is that why
Well-
you sent the boy calling?
yeah, because I said I would, and I aim to keep my promises, whichever ones I make anyway.
Huh. Well, and
Okay.
he just gives you this like really expectant look, not really
I-
blinking, and it's not really a dead eye like a dead on stare. Like his head's
Yeah.
kind of hanging, and then he's looking up at you.
He's looking up at me.
So like his head is looking down, but his eyes are looking up. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. So his face is at me. His eyes are looking elsewhere.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And he's just
Then I'll take out that little pouch that has the 10 platinum in it, and I'll throw in a couple gold probably like 5, just to make sure. And here's a little bit extra for making things not happen last night.
Uh-huh. And wait, was 100 gold all that you owed him?
Yeah, it was. I got the stone and 10 plat, and you said they equaled out to be the same.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Or maybe the gem was just a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
I honestly don't remember.
oh, yeah, I think it was a little bit more, but I decided to give him 10.
It was
plat.
a long time ago. I do not remember.
It was.
So he'll take the roll of platinum and he pockets it. And he'll take the coins and just kind of he doesn't really pocket them immediately. He just kind of like flips them through his fingers, and then they'll just kind of like disappear, probably into a glove or a hidden pocket on his sleeve or something like that.
Very neat.
And he goes, "You and your friends, be good for you to get out of town now.
Yeah.
Especially
think
with
we're
the
gonna stay
amount of
long.
money you've been flaunting around today.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, well, there was a run-in with you and some of the lads last time, and the
Yeah.
lads didn't really make it out.
Yeah. Good place, Exile.
Well, it's nice to visit, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't live here.
Wouldn't want
Too
you
many
to.
me's.
I would recommend you make that exodus now.
Yep. It's been great catching up. If I don't see you, live well. If I do see you, okay.
And if I do see you, please try to aim for the like the stomach area. Maybe my face is where I make my money.
It is actually where I make my money, please.
So yeah,
And then I'll peace out.
yeah, he doesn't leave immediately. He like lets you go, and then he will follow once you're actually gone.
Oh, cool.
Kind of saunter out. So like once you're 50 or so feet from the front door of the wet clam, you'll be able to see him like walk out, sort of look around left to right, and then go behind the building.
See, I mean, like, he's good people, just has horrible intentions.
Yes. So at that, all the happy business in town is done, I believe. So everybody can start heading out, I think.
And then we left.
And then we left.
I like the idea that Quintus is just he's looking outside the inn window for 4 hours while Talion does his stuff, and he's just like, quaint. Yeah, no, I'm good here.
Don't you want to talk to the No, not at all.
Nope.
It's spit in my eye.
No, there's nothing that I want to taste or sense or hear explicitly from this place. No,
I
I'm
read
good.
I read that ability, and it was
Yeah.
like by sensing the city, blah blah blah. And I wanted to give you everything via flavor profile. And I resisted the urge, but man, I really wanted to. Like, so you reach out to taste Herrick Kuhl. And it's smarmy. There's a bit of salt there, some edamame.
You ever lick a wet sponge? A little bit of that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, the wagon kind of packs up and everyone starts heading out. And can I get from everyone a perception check?
Sure.
From people who are. So I imagine that we're doing one of these again, where like Danner's in the front and Forsidon's probably beside him. Is anyone walking alongside the wagon? It seems like Tertia was doing that before.
Are we still in the city?
Yeah.
Sharut will be in the wagon until we're outside of the city.
So Sharut will be in the wagon.
Quintus
Lumio?
is in the wagon.
Quintus is in the wagon.
Same as Shrewd, in the wagon until outside the city.
Okay. And Dillian, where are you?
I think DeLeon would also be in the wagon. He flashed a lot of money, and he doesn't want to be around.
Okay. So can I get a perception check from everybody in the wagon? It'll be at a -2.
So you do
Man.
it, Lumio.
Lumio's perception is so fucking
That's how you
terrible.
do it, baby.
Hi, Lumio. Let's see. I can always roll for
Lumio coming in big.
the.
Real hot.
All right. So Sharut and Delian. Yep, Sharut and Delian. You guys are being watched as you're leaving. And you're kind of first noticing it, like, you know, you guys are prepping the wagon over here, and then you pull into sort of the main square area, and you start, you know, let's head south, let's head out of town, and you realize it about right here that you're being watched, and it's not just by the people that are in this little alleyway right here. It's also by some people that are on the rooftop of like the buildings right here. And then you go down a little bit more, and you're being watched, and it's not just by the people in this alley over here. It's also by the people on this rooftop right here, who might be the same people. They might be following you literally from rooftop to rooftop.
Oh.
Okay.
And then you keep going, and you're being watched. You're being watched, and then like suddenly they're just gone. You just don't see them anymore.
Would have said something, being like, we got some dudes following us.
Suggest going a bit faster. He's gonna say to Dandrin.
We're gonna go at the speed we're gonna go.
How very dwarvish of you.
Delian, correct. Eyes on wagon would help make haste.
Why? So that they know that the jig is up?
Well, I mean, you're gonna do it. I don't know how to drive a cart, so I can't really change anything. Just thought you'd know.
Perfect. Oh no, it's appreciated. Dandrin will just have his stuff within easy reach.
Okay. Yeah, they you are watched all the way up until you guys like leave the town. Well, up until you lost track, but eventually, like Delian and Shrewd, you guys are sort of looking back at the town. And can I get the two of you to give me another perception check?
Sure.
Still at a -2, or?
No, you the two of you don't have the -2 anymore.
Man, you and me, dude. Eyes
I
and
know,
ears.
right? Just freaking on it.
So yeah, you guys, you know, you're kind of down here, and the wagon is continuing to go, and you know, you've left behind the majority of the larger buildings. You see that there's a couple of wagons over here that are just like almost pulled into a line, like they're a caravan. And you see somebody standing in front of one, like, and he's got one of these like noduled cudgels in his hands, where it's just, you know, it's just like a good carved hunk of wood that has clearly been oiled and worked to just be as painful as possible to hit. And he's just kind of like watching all of you drive away and like slamming it over and over into his palm. And then you see this white and black blur just take him down, and he disappears from view.
Not my fault. Not my problem.
Yeah.
Sure, just you hear a very loud sigh from Sharut.
Wow, the world sure is full of wondrous things.
So sad. Anyways.
All right. And everybody's back on the road. Mr. Driver, can you give me a Mr. Driver check?
No, but I can give you this.
Look at
Middle
you
finger,
handling
that's so weird.
animals. It's so weird that you have it's like Dandrin is made to roll 2 skills. And when I make you roll one of the other ones, you do surprisingly well. And when I force you to roll like profession blacksmith, it's always like a 1.
It's a 1 that still nets a 20.
Yeah, it's a 1 that still nets a 20, and then when I'm like, all right, now roll the one that you only got a +2 bonus to, you're like, yeah, I rolled a 16. So everybody is back on the road. You're making okay time. The horses got, you know, it's not like they were taken care of by the inn or the where you stopped at the High Hawk, because they don't really offer that sort of service. But Frisina sort of like kept watch for a bit, and then kind of slept sort of in the wagon, so that nobody could take it. So what she's doing next to you for most of the first part of the ride there, Dandrin, is pretty much just leaning back in the seat and sleeping. You see her like undo all of the buckles that are sort of holding on the chainmail and pull it off, and she sets the chainmail aside, and then she pops her helmet on her head and puts the visor down and just leans over, and she's out like a light, like that soldier ability to find sleep anywhere, even if it's extremely comfortable, because you don't know when you'll be able to sleep again.
Yeah. At some point during the ride, while she's sleeping and while Dandrin's on like a straightaway, doesn't have to pay attention, he'll pull out the blanket and just kind of like put it on her, just on the lap, and like fold it up.
Yeah. And she's asleep but not comatose, so she'll like kind of wrap it around her and just kind of, this helmeted head just sort of nods at you, and from inside you hear this like, thank you.
Mhm. Just a grunt.
And you are all kind of doing your thing until Dandrin, can you give me, I need a couple of rolls from you.
Oh no.
These are going to be 2 rolls. They are D20 plus 8.
All right. I'm just gonna roll my perception because it's D20 plus 8.
Sure. All right. So you're doing all right for hours, like just walking along. It does eventually get to the point where at least one of the horses is sort of starting to flag a little bit, and
Right.
they, when you got a wagon that's pulled by 2 horses, if one of them is starting to flag, it's a problem. So you pulling over. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I'll look for a spot that's looks relatively safe.
Okay. Yeah, I will. Actually, let me.
Let me just pull up this battle map for no reason.
Look, I'm not saying that I'm doing that, but what was it called? Encounter 1, I believe. It actually is called Encounter 1. Active, and I will grab everybody and. Yeah, so you'll be able to find a nice little dell where you can move things to the side of the road. There's a little bit of a clearing. It's one of those where like clearly people have parked here before, maybe to sleep, maybe to actually just like do what you guys are doing, where you park for a lunch and let the horses graze. And it's a nice little break. And from everybody, no perception check needed at all. You hear the thundering of hooves coming from the south. It sounds like just, you can sort of hear it when horses are running at full sprint from at least 200-300 feet off, even though it's kind of forested here. So you just hear this like dun 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 as they're moving towards you.
Do we have
Yeah,
time to
Dandrin's
get...
gonna have his because he's got the quick weapons rack backpack. He's just gonna pull off his shield and his hammer and let everyone kind of know, like, pay attention.
Do we have time to get the wagon off the road?
So the wagon basically it kind of is off the road. Like you guys are in a little like side thing over here.
Okay.
It's getting it how can I put it? Putting it more off the road than that isn't really possible because you're in kind of a little forested area. If you go any further, the wagon won't be able to fit.
It's like a little passing lane, if you will.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the road is about 2 wagons side by side, but yes.
And from the south is from where we are going to, correct? Because we had to leave south out of exile.
Correct. New Seer is to the south of Exile. You have, aside from small little farms and like really, really small villages, and by small villages, I mean like here is a collection of 3 houses, like really, really small places. You have Charon, which is about a day away. You have Jackers and Hack, which is about a day after that. And then you would have New Seer, which is about a day after that. So you guys actually, like, this road, the stops are fairly well placed apart. Some of the days are a little bit longer than others, but they're all about a day's walk or so. Because if you're considering that, like, so you need to go to the south, and they are coming from the south. So I'm going to assume people are out of the wagon because the horses are kind of over here doing their thing. Yeah.
Quintus is decidedly not.
Okay.
He's in the wagon.
Sure.
We're not going to be there. We're going to stand behind the
Yeah,
big guy.
Delian's on the rock, currently reading his book.
Yeah. And the book, Delian, is just like, it is the things that it tells you that you can do with light seem to border sort of somewhere between like blinding everyone and like viciously blinding them, sometimes permanently, or focusing light into blasts that don't just blind people but also do a lot of damage. And it's talking about how you can like sort of channel these things, how lenses can be used to focus it. It's a lot of different sort of techniques for something as prevalent as light that Delian maybe hasn't really thought of.
Yeah, it's pretty. His mind is already whirling with like sort of cool things to do.
So can I get from Body outside the wagon a perception check?
Sure, bud.
Perception.
Hey, what a boy, Lumio. Good
Hey,
job.
look at him showing up big.
Nope.
Here's what I like about that cheroot roll right there. It's very satisfying for me. That's what I like about it. So once these guys are about half the distance they were away from you, so good 150-ish feet. Yep, managed to make that. You can kind of make them out. So, Denderin and Lumio. So like everybody that rolled, you can see them. Like all of you can see them, except for maybe Cheroot, who chose that precise moment to just cower behind Denderin, and thus there's a medium-sized tower shield between you and whatever's coming. You see a tower shield. But
Is it a nice tower shield?
it's all right, yeah. I mean, nice to Connie make, really.
Yeah, it looks pretty nice.
Yeah. Lumio and Denderin, you are able to make out people who are wearing the sort of Brelish coat of arms, or sorry, the Braelish coat of arms. And they are, you have this one, the two on the outside, have the like, you know, they're wearing a bit more armor. It's not quite full plate, but it's heavier. And then they've got the tabard over their armor that has the like the red shield with the bear's head sort of right in the middle. The one in the middle is wearing some lighter fare. It is nowhere near the amount of like big pieces of plate and riveted steel that the other ones are wearing. Probably a little bit more like a chain and leather combination. And they're still sort of dressed like they would fit in a Braelish army, but they are not dressed like fighter like the other two are. And they see you, and the you see the two on the sides, this one and this one, lower the visors of their helms, and they start moving forward.
Are they like getting ready to charge, kind of?
They haven't charged. You've just seen them lower the visors of their helms. This one
Right.
isn't wearing a visored helm. He is wearing a nice hat. It's sort of like a tricorn kind of thing. Has a feather on one side.
Oh, fancy.
And then he's got like he's got less of a tunic and more of like a red gambeson that is, or not a gambeson, but more of like a red like long leather coat that doesn't have any sleeves. So you can see that under the coat he's wearing like chain.
All right.
Dandarin, I might have you lower your weapons.
Dandrin will put his hammer on his belt.
If Lumia is suggesting that Denderin lowers weapons, then Quintus will hop out of the back.
Okay. And you'll see them kind of continue to approach cautiously, and they get to about there, to where they're a good, 30 or so feet away, and the one in the middle says, All right. What we're going to need here is for one of you to come forward with your identification papers for everybody in this wagon. We've had some
Certainly.
disturbing news and rumors from this area recently, so everyone here is going to identify themselves.
Do these folks look well made up enough to be what they're representing?
What would you like to use to try to determine that?
I would suggest knowledge nobility.
Yeah, nobility and heraldry would definitely work. Yeah, give me a knowledge nobility.
I will give you 2.
I will. I said one, sir.
Well, sorry, but that's not how that works. So, there we go. There we go.
Hold
All
on.
right.
I was like, 19,
Real-
that's pretty good. We'll probably take that one. No.
Real quick, let me just do some damage to Justin.
Hey, that roll is only a +10. It's only a +10 that I get to roll twice to take the better of.
It's only a +10 that you get to roll twice to take the better of, which I don't know. You seem like a man who knows statistics. That means it's like a +15, Justin.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that means it's like a +15. That's how that works.
Yeah, pretty great.
So, as far as what they're wearing, the two on the outside definitely have the lookup of heavy outriders. The one in the middle looks official. But as far as what particular rank or title they might be filling, you have no idea. But they do definitely they blend. They do look official.
Lumio sets about getting the official papers from everyone.
Okay.
I gave you my actual official one, not one.
Thank you.
Sure.
Lumio doesn't know
Sighs and goes over to the wagon to his backpack, and you just start hear him like tossing stuff out of his backpack to find the papers.
Why don't you put it in one of the small pouches off to
Yeah,
the
no
side
kidding.
so that they're at easy access?
No
Yes.
fit. Other things.
This makes no sense. Your identification papers are something that people ask for all the time.
Not important. Other things in small pockets.
It's extremely important.
Yes,
Got a belt patch specifically for them. Should start wearing a belt patch.
If you need in the next town, I will buy you a belt pouch out of my own earnings in order for you to carry this on you. This is ridiculous. You look the fool. And Lucinda reaches into a belt pouch that apparently carries nothing but her identification papers.
Yep.
Waste.
And
And
pulls
will
out.
also reach into a belt pouch.
Perhaps we can fashion you a hat out of a belt pouch. That might be more comfortable for you.
Sounds like terrible hat.
Lumio, Frasidna hands you 2 sets, like basically a pair of passports. And it's one that just kind of identifies her as where she's from and where she lives, and the other one that identifies her as a member and a person in good standing of her house. And so, are you the one that's grabbing all of these and walking over to him?
Feel the least threatening at the moment. I'm sure Quintus would be able to be non-threatening towards them as well, but I seem to be the one they spotted first.
Okay. So then I go ahead and move yourself over.
I move to the one that is closest, unless he indicates that I should move to someone else.
And the one in the middle goes, no, over here.
Certainly.
And he actually does get down off the horse, and so hold on, let me see if this will change it for all of them, because if it does, it'll be hilarious.
Fantastic. That was wonderful.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
And then it only unsizes him. I don't know. There. One day, Foundry. One day I'll learn your secrets. So yeah, he'll get down off his horse, and Lumio, once this man gets off the horse, you realize that he has a quiver at his side, and that quiver is loaded with a good dozen wands. Given your experience in fighting, it looks like this man is some sort of combat artificer. Like, these are people that, when this is basically what Lumio would be if he was more tinkery and less just straight up magic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he takes the stack of identification papers from you and starts looking through them. And as he looks through them, you see him like looking at the paper, and then he looks up and identifies the person, and then he'll like shuffle that one to the back and look at it and do the same thing, shuffle it to the back. And then he says, well, looks like none of yous is who we're looking for. So where you coming from, where you going to? I assume from the papers that most of you are headed towards New Seer. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Happy to confirm it. We are on our way, most recently from exile, but Star Slasker was our origin.
That's good. No one of worth of value ever leaves from Star Slasker. No one of worth of value ever goes there either. So, just friendly folks headed back to New Seer, huh?
Indeed. Is there something on the road we should be aware of? On guard
there's
against
someone that we're looking for. You come across a rather burly human man. Name's Erleman.
Should not tell him that you're on the lookout for him.
I'm asking if you've seen him.
Oh, I apologize. I was assuming that we would be looking out for him as well. We have not seen anyone of that description at this time.
Runs with a gang of bandits.
Worse and worse all the time, your description of him.
The majority of them mostly seems they wear something blue. Armbands, maybe boots, a hat. Usually quite dark. You ain't seen them.
It seems lucky that we have not, no.
They're haunting this whole stretch of road. For being honest, it's more than just this. It's not just Star Alaska down to New Seer. It's Star Alaska all the way down to Sterngate.
Quite the range. I wish you luck. Do you mind if I put in a report?
Put it. You mean to your people?
No, to you, as a representative, Braylon.
Sure. What kind of report you got?
We encountered a wrecked caravan that appeared to have been attacked by some large beasts just north of Exile. It appeared they had been killed to a man, and we hadn't sufficiently discovered who they were to report them, and no one in Exile seems to care.
I don't think anybody in Exile would care if a caravan went missing off the road unless they was there to do it.
That is what we decided was the truth of the matter, and decided not to investigate reporting it at all. But you seem to be the right sort to look into it if you have the time, or if you can pass it on to another field agent.
He stops at one of the identification papers that he has, because I mean, the identification papers are basically this like pentagonal thing that sort of like flips up. It's almost like a little notebook, and it. Hold on, I can actually get you a little image.
You've shown us one in the past.
Yeah, but I don't think I've actually shown the stream.
Yeah.
So
They are super neat, though.
here's the image for you guys, and here's the image for the stream. So this is sort of what it looks like. There's a little picture of the person, and then it says like who they are, their affiliations, that kind of thing. So what you see him do is he snaps one of them closed, and he goes, "Terrace," and he flings it to the guy over here, and the man catches it in one hand and looks at it and goes, "No, ain't him." And he goes, "All right," and he flings it back to the guy that you're talking to, and now he's standing with just a bunch of like the closed sets of identification papers.
I offer to hold it.
Yeah, and he like hands it back to you.
Thank you.
And he goes, this caravan that got torn apart, how far north of Star Alaska? How far between Star Alaska, or north of Exile? How far between Star Alaska and Exile was it?
About 8 hours of a pretty swift ride. We were worried that the whatever beast that was out there might still be lingering.
Well, I don't think that you'll have anything. I don't think you have anything to worry about Erleman's men being them, if that's what you're insinuating. They're brutal. Don't get me wrong, they're brutal. But they ain't the type to, do something like this.
Thank you. That does put me at ease.
They're more, well, they'll rob you. They'll leave you destitute, but they'll typically leave you alive. Unless, of course, you got any Korovar with you. You got any Korovar, things change a bit. If you have any cons either. So, and he kind of like looks at you and looks over your shoulder towards Versidna, and he like gestures with his head, with a little head nod. You'll want your friend to be quiet should the ban happen upon you. Otherwise, if they actually do start with the robbing, they're gonna make sure to kill her.
Oh, thank you much.
And he will, like I said, he'll hand all of them to you. He's already done so. And then he'll climb back on his horse, at which point he will become big and good. Yeah.
So large.
So large.
Lumio moves to the side to allow easy passage, and then moves back towards...
Eats his tiny red-capped mushroom and grows in size.
I actually saw somebody once who played like a Mario game that was based in D20, and that's what mushrooms did. Is like they cast a large person on you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they will just kind of like look at you and ride by, and you can see Dandarin as one of the ones with like a good amount of warfare experience here. Those men were fully ready to just ride you down, like the knights.
Oh yeah, no, and I was fully ready to brace for the charge and just kill them.
Yeah. But
Respect.
yeah, and it's like you see them ride by, and as they continue to go, you'll see like, you know, they'll move on a little bit, and then eventually they will sort of restore their lances in the kind of like mounts on the saddle, and then just keep going. But they're doing that once they're like a good 50-60 feet past you, and then they're going. So if I don't know if anybody else wants to talk to him or whatever, but otherwise they'll just let Lumio walk back to the group and leave.
I got nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, if that's the case, then they will just disappear forever.
Road wardens of some kind.
The moment we stop watching them, they cease to exist.
Has anyone else noticed how often that happens? The moment we start...
What kind of a sick game is this?
Dandrin, you eat spice pies again?
He's just had so much capsaicin he's hallucinating.
Sharut will take his papers and repack his pack.
You piece of shit.
Well, it sounds like there's some trouble that we should plan for up ahead. What are your suggestions as far as preparing ourselves?
Well, hope we don't meet them, and if we do, kill them all.
Succinct. I suppose it has that going for it.
Yeah, it's usually how it plays out.
It is almost
I'm just being realistic based on previous experiences.
And if they win...
Oh, we'll be dead.
Well, I'll carry
Or
word
you'll
of your...
just be poor. That's what Lumio has said.
No, I don't let people do that to my friends. I will be dead for sure.
So dead and stupid.
And
Never underestimate the greed of a dwarf. He'll just mutter as he looks at them through longingly.
I mean, yeah, it's...
Yeah.
My people have literally lost holds to greed. Like,
yeah.
it's genetic.
There's a reason you are all the bankers.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, so you mean House Kundarak runs the banks? No, House Kundarak runs the big bank, but the main thing they do is they trade in the sort of stock market, and the stock market is run by the rest of the dwarves. Yeah, like, what does your culture do? Oh, we're resource barons. Fucking all of us.
Yeah. Yep.
Every single one of us.
Yeah.
Now
What
I
resource do you
can't-
got? Like, his family's resource is, we have the best crafted items, weapons, armor in the entire world.
I can't not imagine them all now in just suits.
No, yeah. Dude,
Correct.
Like-
hold on.
Many of them do. Yeah.
on.
There's even pictures.
Give me a picture.
I'm finding it. I just opened the book. Here, it's on the stream now. This is the 3.5 Eberron core rulebook. Look at the dwarf on the right.
Yes.
Like, that dude is
Oh, yeah.
clearly a banker. Like, he's a resource baron.
The amount of rings on his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punch you with money.
That's how I roll.
Except this one. This one I used to seal letters. That was special.
Yeah. I mean,
So
this-
have you ever
Ready to
been
run.
beaten to death with wealth?
Yeah.
They're about to be.
I mean, they tried to.
They did throw money at us. Oh no, they stopped throwing money at us. Whatever will we do? Not the money.
Taste fiscal value.
That was taste fiscal value.
It's a great phrase.
So
Oh my god. Okay, Dendron, you have to start making all of your combat quips be stock market jokes.
Brush up on the market.
I need
It's a bit my vocabulary is a bit bearish right now.
Yeah, I'm feeling bullish, and then just slap a man down. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking there might be a crash soon.
I hate it so much. All right. So with that, everybody hops back in on or near the wagon and starts going again. Yeah. From Mr. Driverman, I need a Mr. Driverman roll.
Oh sure.
The best of all rolls that involve both driving and driverman.
I mean,
How?
he fucking crushed it. He absolutely devastated that roll.
Yeah, he takes like a 45-minute break, removes the bit from the horse, and is like, eat. And the horse is like, oh my god, this is my dream. I'm going to perform so well for you later. And then does.
Good. Good.
Yeah, so you continue to move on, and from you, Danarin, I will need 2 more of those horsey fortitude rolls.
See fortitude.
Okay,
See fortitude.
cool.
And that
for
first
the-
one, he
The first one is starting to flag. Apparently, he's the one you removed the bit from second. So anyway, for the rest of you, at some point, when Forsidna decides, like, I'll walk next to the wagon, Tertia will get up front. It seems like Tertia will not ride in a cargo wagon. She will ride at the head of a wagon, or she will walk next to a wagon, but in a cargo wagon? Me? No. But for the rest of you who are cargo, it's totally fine. And
I'm a resource baron. These are my resources.
these are my resources. Yeah, you're like a resource baron, but she's like you're from a family who's like, yeah, we've got a good hold and all this stuff, and she's from like the only elven noble family in all of Seer. There's some pride there, even if there shouldn't be, considering that family doesn't really exist anymore, and it was sort of weird when it did. But hey, so for Delian,
Yes.
can you, sir, give me a spellcraft check?
Sure. I can give you one of thems.
You
Bad news.
You go, all right, I can do this. I just got to tinker with this thing. And you basically, you have something that, like, it was like a broken set of binoculars or like a spyglass, something you're like,
I have a mirror.
Yeah, you got a mirror and you're like, I'll tinker with this later. And you're like, nah, I'm going to do this now. And you start, okay, well, if I just take the cylinder and I hold this here and then I hold the mirror this far away, this would be a lot better if I had a proper casing, but I don't really have a casing for it right now. So I'll just hold this with my feet and then I'll start doing this, and you just blind yourself. There's like this bright flash of light in the back of the wagon and you cannot see anything.
Yep, sounds good. Oh god, I'm dying.
And then I assume that reflexively, when you become blind, you make a sphere of darkness. So you blind yourself, and then you go, oh shit, and then it's real dark.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. To the others in the back, Quintus, Lumio, the 2 other magic users in the group, it just got real bright. Both of you were looking away. You're not blinded, but then when you try to look over to see what happened, it just got real dark.
Oh, but why?
This is some plan, right? This is part of a clever hiding mechanism from the bandits that are further down the road, correct? Not
yes.
just idle happenstance.
No, this was totally planned.
Could you make it stop?
Yes.
The darkness, that is. I don't know
Oh,
what else is
yeah.
happening.
Yep, I can totally do that. And as soon as the sphere of darkness dissipates, he's facing the fabric of the wagon away from both of you.
Something of interest over there?
Yes. Where am I looking?
Towards the wagon.
Oh, yeah.
the
I'm
outside
just
of it?
counting the threads of the fabric, just to, just to pass the time.
I
Just-
believe that both Lumio and myself have a way enough with words to recognize a lie when we hear one. But since I believe you're simply trying to salve your ego,
I am.
it's
Yes.
fine. Then carry on, please. This is
Thank you.
amusing. Yes.
Thank you. Please let me have this.
Yeah, of course. Granted, freely and with no strings attached.
Thank you.
I've seen people hold books at odd angles in order to read them.
That's what I've been trying to do, and I decided what I was going to do next was to put the book onto the bottom of the bed of the wagon right now and stare at this wall, maybe to contemplate the entry. Yeah, I can't see.
I'm going to return. I was going to return to my book, but is there anything that we might do to help you? That bright flash earlier? being the cause?
I don't know.
So, Delian, still blind, still seeing nothing but white. When you turn to look at them, Lumio, you've seen Delian do this thing before, especially when the two of you were down in Spearhold, where when he wants to see in the dark, he would do this thing where it looked like he would almost grab shadows and just put them in his eyes, and then his eyes would get solid black. And right now, they are both this glowing, luminescent white. It doesn't look like he has pupils. It doesn't look like he has irises. They are just solid, glowing white.
Like radiating a little bit too, right?
What was
Is
that?
You're saying? You're saying they're radiating a little bit too?
A little bit. They're not like, it's not enough light that, someone could be able to see by, but if he was in a place that was completely dark, you would definitely see two glowing lights.
Yeah. It's kind of like looking at a light or a flashlight when it's on in the daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quintus, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So Lumio's will point out or describe what he's seeing in a muted tone so that people outside the wagon can't hear. Maybe over the just so that Delian knows what we are seeing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a side effect or due to me blinding myself, or to just this is what happens when I use this sort of stuff.
Quintus kind of gives out a snort and then tries to contain the laughter because, as an academically trained mage, it looks like Delian has just cast light on his own eyeballs, which is a tremendously bad idea, and yet happens with shocking frequency in new classes.
It's one of those things where people confuse, like, I need light to see with I need to be seeing light. It happens. It happens to everybody when they're first learning how to, like, cast light. But usually what they end up doing is they're casting it on like on the space in front of their face, or maybe even on their own face. Seeing somebody just turn their eyes into glowing balls of light is like, even that's a little weird. So, like, you've seen something close to this, but exactly this is like, wow. And Delian, eventually the white will start to sort of like fade a little bit and a little bit more. And the other two people in the wagon, you see the details of his eyes start to come back into focus. And eventually it looks like he has, pupils and irises and all of those things.
All the things I used to have.
Ah, you have all the eye parts. Good.
Would that I could name them. Lumio's fascinated by the transition and is probably staring a bit too close because he doesn't have those things, just some colored glowing glass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Fascinating.
yeah, it looked, I mean, maybe to Lumio it looked for a second like Delian had Warforged eyes. But now it looks like he has, like, normal people eyes for normal people.
Yeah, normal.
Totally normal, guys.
Guys, I'm totally normal. I don't know what you're talking about. Totally normal here.
Totally normal. Well, book won't read itself.
Goes right back to figuring out how to screw himself up.
Yep.
Uh,
Only way to learn is by practice.
Lumio's also reading his book. which I
What are
haven't
you
previously
doing?
mentioned.
you know, bad mage decisions. Oh, okay.
The only way to make good ones is to get the bad ones out of the way.
I guess
That's not true.
It's worked for me so far.
Has it? Though?
Well, minus the one you just saw. Like, that's
Okay.
one off the list.
Yeah. Perfectly well. Yes.
I'm glad you understand. Some people just don't get the concept.
All right. So I think at that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back at 9 o'clock.
All
right.
If we're unmuting, I guess it's time to talk about nothing. Hi, Jelly Spoons.
Yeah, the thing that I've been watching a ton of lately has not been cartoons. It's been sumo wrestling. Sumo wrestling is
Nice.
fucking dope.
Nice.
It is. That is
And,
correct.
It is. It's fucking great.
And the Basho is going on right now, and so there's like the Makushi and the Juyo Bashos videos basically every single day, and it's so cool to watch. And it looks like Hakuo is going to do another no-loss Basho, which is great. For those that don't know, sumo wrestling happens over the course of 15 days. And over the course of those 15 days, each wrestler will wrestle 15 different people. And the greatest wrestler of all time, a man named Hakuo, is in May he had like his ACL torn and he got it operated on and is now back to wrestling. And everybody's like, this might be the downfall of Hakuo. He might lose the Yokozuna title, and he has not lost a single match. And we're on like day 13. Everybody, he went up yesterday against a man named Takayasu, and Takayasu was like, not really a threat for Hakuo. He's beaten the dude 20 times at this point. But like, cause I mean, like,
Right. Yeah.
2 months down the line, another Basha will happen, and unless the rankings wildly switch, you go up against people that you've wrestled before. Their ranking is like 20-2. Hakuo wins. He wins all the time. He beats everybody. He is the greatest wrestler of all time. And it's just hilarious to watch like some men go up against Takayasu, and it takes them like 40 seconds for either one of them to win. Hakuo beat Takayasu yesterday in like 3 seconds.
Jesus.
And it's just
That's wild.
Jesus.
every one of his matches is like that. Like someone else goes up against him and he's just like, what if you were on the ground? And then they're on the ground. And yeah.
It sounds to me he lives rent free in so many spaces.
Yes.
Just like straight up in their heads.
He's so good. He's just so good. And legitimately the best of all time.
He has that title officially.
The amount of accolades he has, it doesn't matter if they give him that title officially. No one will ever compete with his records. So, like, in 2000, from his Wikipedia page real quick, I'm going to read a Wikipedia page on my stream.
Hell yeah.
In 2009, he broke the world record for most wins in a calendar year, winning 86 out of 90 bouts.
Jesus.
He was the only, in January 2015, he broke Taiho's long-standing record by winning his 33rd top division championship, the most in the history of sumo. He holds the records for the most wins in top division, achieved in May of 2016, and the most career wins, which he achieved in July of 2017. He is the longest-serving Yokozuna of all time, having passed Haguro Yama's record in 2019, and he fought his 1,000th bout as a Yokozuna in July of 2020. He's got all of these different things where it's like list of records, most top division championships at 44, most career wins at 1,170, most top division wins at 1,076, most tournaments ranked as a Yokozuna at 77. And like the next closest person is always way further back than you'd think they would be. So if he
half
has
of what he's done.
yeah, if he has a record and it's like, most undefeated championships, like the number of times he's gone through an entire Basho and not been defeated is at like 15. and the next closest person will be at like 8, and it's just like, I don't know. Yeah,
It's good at sumo.
it's really fun to watch, and it's just like, I also saw a video where he knocked a dude out in the initial charge.
Jesus.
Like the ref said,
Fuck.
go, and it's not like he punched him. The ref said go,
Yeah.
and they hit, and the dude turned his head just the wrong way, so his head just impacted Hakuo's shoulder, and then he went unconscious.
Damn.
And someone was like, that's like getting hit by a fridge that wants to hit you. Like, the fridge came out with the express purpose of putting you on the ground.
What's this dude's name?
It's Hakuo. It's Hakuho. Or Hakuho. Sorry.
You were describing him. I pulled up one of his matches. There's a lot of ceremony. They're at about the 6-minute mark. It's 6 minutes and 38 seconds, and they haven't started yet. And I'm just like, this is going to be instantaneous, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's the weird thing. Like,
Oh.
I saw one of his matches, and it lasted like 25 seconds, and I was like, man, is he just like playing with this dude, or is he tired, or what? And then as soon as I had that thought, he just lifts him up. He lifted him up, like he grabbed the sides of his mawashi, lifts him up, and then just walked out of the ring and put him down. And I was like, oh, I guess he was just trying to get a grip.
There was the one I watched. It's like the other guy came at him, and he let him push himself to the line. Then he just like pivoted a little and just grabbed the guy's mawashi and just winged him
Yeah.
out of the all the way out.
Yeah, it's good times. Anybody who doesn't watch sumo, you should start, because it's hilarious. Like,
I know,
it's,
honestly.
it's
What do you
So, anyways,
uh,
who knew that John would like wrestling in all of its forms?
yeah,
I,
I mean-
wanted to be a sumo when I was
You could probably have put a pretty safe bet on that.
yeah.
Like-
You can also watch like the Japanese version of pro wrestling, which is like the American version of pro wrestling, except they actually hit each other, and it looks really, really painful. They just like straight up like just hit each other.
just say they don't have to sell it so much?
Yeah, pretty much. It's actually they signed a couple years ago, like 3-4 years ago. They signed a bunch of Japanese wrestlers to WWE, and then they had to put them back into their training brand to unteach them to make contact. Because they're like, yeah, we don't really do that here, you know. We don't do the whole strong style thing. And they're like, what do you mean by strong style? And he's like, you know how you kicked Fred in the face yesterday? We don't really do that. You're supposed to pretend to kick him. And he's like, well, I didn't kick him as hard as I could have. And he goes, I mean, that's good, but we need more of not doing that.
I actually, I guess my final tidbit is I'm starting to get into wrestling because my neighbors are really into it. And I'm learning so much about the art of pretending to hit people.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do they make those slap sounds? Well, when you watch them fly into the air, they slap their thigh.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking what?
Yeah. No, it's man, I have like so many matches I could recommend to somebody who's like, I want to get into wrestling. It's like, what kind of shit do you want to see? Do you want to see like high flying nonsense? Do you want to see?
I mean, if at some point you and I should just have like, I'd be down for watching.
Yeah. I used to do wrestling nights, or not wrestling nights, but like for the big events like WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, I would do like a big thing at the club.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, the people at the club don't care about sports, let alone fake sports. So I think there was like Andrew showed up once, and that was it. And then I was like, well, fuck this. I might as well just eat this pizza at my house.
I mean, I'd watch it at the club. I've gone to actual wrestle events.
Yeah.
Like I've been to Battle Mania. God's
Yeah.
sakes. Solid Steel.
Yeah. I would have.
Got shut down because of the goof.
No, it got shut
Or
down
they just-
because the owner was a manipulative dickhead.
Oh,
That
I heard the
the
nice
worst
story.
kind of person to put in charge of training a bunch of female wrestlers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that kind of the worst.
Yeah. So somebody else tried to start 3-2-1 battle back up, but it didn't really hold. So we still have Defy, like Defy Northwest is the other local brand. But I don't think that they're putting on shows yet. They probably won't start putting on shows again until September. But I'm probably going to start going to those too. They were pretty fun. Anyway, let's stop talking about fake fighting and get back into the real heart of stuff. D&D.
Real
Lord.
fighting.
Real
So anyways, I
fighting.
started blasting.
So, I started blasting. Roll dice to blast.
There.
I cast fireball on the wagon.
No, wait, hold on. Take an attack of opportunity against Shrewd. Plus one against goblins, you say?
We're gonna let this happen. Let's see. If we start the fire, that's a 20-foot burst right there.
Ow.
Oh, shame that. Shame.
It's a crying shame.
And that's 400d6 that you got to roll for that one.
It's a
About that.
no, it's not a level 400 wizard. A level 200 wizard with empower or greater empower, the epic version. Like what's wrong with you?
So many things, Eric. So many things.
All right. Well, and you guys head on along. You make it about another hour down the road before it looks like Dandern, you can sort of see it. It looks like one of the horses is slightly limping.
Oh.
They're just not doing great. And, you're not running them rough. It's not like they're jogging or running the whole time. They're just walking. But one of them starts walking weird. There's like a little hitch there.
All right, now I'll pull the wagon over and see what's wrong with the horse.
All right. Just give me a handle animal check there.
Righty.
So from what you can tell, it looks like the horse basically kind of like threw a shoe, and it's not fully off. It's just kind of bent, and it looks like there's a rock or something that's kind of painfully in there. So yeah.
I'll get the wagon set up so I can reshod the horse.
Okay. So the first part's going to be real easy. Like, I mean, your wagon is basically set up to do some like quick forging on the road if need be. It won't take you that long to, get it hot and bend some of your like small workable ingots into a horseshoe. And with your skill as a blacksmith, there's not even really a roll needed here. You can make a horseshoe. Horseshoes are easy. They're horseshoe shaped. The end.
Grab a few pieces of random shards of metal and will them into nails.
Just look at them, and it doesn't quite do it, and you go, "Don't make me get the hammer," and then it's a nail.
Good.
The problem seems to be both in the fact that the once you have the horseshoe and the nails, and you've cooled it down, like by, I imagine, putting it in the drinking water, maybe.
It'll the temperature will come back down.
Yeah. And you've got it. The problem now is that you need to actually shoe the horse, which I need you to give me either another handle animal check or a profession farrier check. Either one works. I don't know if you have farrier. I'd be surprised, but fuck it, you might.
I just rolled like a +12.
Yeah. It's like, why do you have profession farrier?
Comes in handy more than you think.
Just such an emergency. I'm gonna re-roll that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You nail right into the bottom of the hoof. No. It's not the best work. It's really not.
Will the spare tire work until we get to a shop?
You are someone who has probably made a couple of 100, if not a couple of 1,000 horseshoes in your life. That part is fine. You do it quickly. You bend the metal. You might even have a mold for it. This might be the first time you've applied it yourself, and you're going by like, well, you just nail it on, right? Sure. But also no. So, as you're moving along, I need you to give me another handle animal check. This time at a -2, to drive the wagon. All right. So you're maybe another 90 or so minutes down the road. When the horses are, well, the horse that you shot is starting to kind of limp again. Just moving so that it's like that back left hoof, and it never fully touches down. It's always just kind of like awkwardly keeping it in the air as much as it can. It's a horse, so not that much, but as much as it can.
Alrighty. That's not like I'm gonna really be able to do this any better.
Yeah. Then I need from you, and this is actually going to be from everybody in the wagon. I need some perception checks for the people driving the wagon. Regular perception checks for everybody in the wagon. Perception at a -2, please.
That boy Lumio,
Ain't doing it again.
give it above 10. What I like to hear.
What I like to see.
I feel like Lumio might stand a better chance just taking his eyes out of his head and like putting them places.
Or now and again, I go ahead and I just take them eyes right on out my head.
Them a good polish.
That's why I keep one eye on top of my staff.
Give
Easy to
them-
see.
Give them a good polish. Good polish.
So I have a character I play on a Star Trek campaign, and he's got one of those eye things that Gordy LaForge has, the big eye visor, because he's got no eyes. And
Yeah.
every once in a while, he pops it out to polish it, and asks people how do they know how he got these scars in a polite conversation sort of way, and everyone gets real affronted and moves off in a general direction.
Lovely.
Uh-huh.
Hold on.
All right. So, let's see. That's gonna be Delian and Sharut once again.
Huzzah!
Oh shit! Hold on. I didn't look at them all. Dandarin sees it this time too.
Hell yeah.
So you guys are, sort of like this, and like you got Dandarin and Tertia in the front of the wagon, and Frisina's kind of just like walking alongside, and I imagine the rest of you are all just in the back. And Dandarin, Delian, and Sharut, the three of you spot a white and black blur just sort of moving through the woods, or sorry, not the woods, the tall grass on the other side. It is, if you weren't just sitting there, just kind of like looking out over the grass and like actively looking for something, you are certain you would have never seen it, because the way the grass moves, it just blends. But it's just this kind of like very softly moving thing that's just following along behind you.
Oh. Deline immediately goes, it's that thing, that blur that took out that one dude with a cudgel.
Sharut suggests everyone get in wagon.
I'm in the wagon.
Like he's talking to the people outside.
I mean, the only one outside is Frisina.
And he'll say, creatures attacked us. The creatures that attacked us when we check out other wagon still follow.
Frisina, please get in the wagon.
What if they go for the horses?
I mean, will you be able to stop it?
I could maybe convince it to come for me instead.
Uh,
But as far as permanently stopping it, no, likely not. It's a tiger.
I'd much rather you survive than a horse.
Perhaps kinder than I would have expected. And
They
she'll
should.
she'll pull herself up onto the step on the back of the wagon.
Sharut will ask the group, anyone have meat? Perhaps go for an easier meal.
All I got are these mushrooms.
I don't believe that the small amount of sausage in my travel rations would be sufficient to pull them off the scent.
Nor Sharut's.
Mouth is bigger than Sharut.
As Dandarin just opens like a secret compartment, my brother, and just pulls out like this secret stash of smoked meats.
He's got like 5 sirloin steaks stashed underneath the seat of the wagon.
So, as you guys are moving along, and Dandarin just kind of keeps moseying, and there's really only so fast that he can go since the horse is limping again. Everybody hears basically a kind of sounds loud wagon, and it sounds loud because there's a lot of like bells on it. There's a loud one that's coming your way, and you can all see it as it sort of rounds a bend and just starts moving, and you see that there's
man.
there's bells all over this thing, and it has like these sort of silken streamers or like curtains, something like that. It looks to be a smaller wagon than what all of you have. However, Delian, if you'd like to give me a knowledge artifice.
Sure. You mean engineering?
Engineering, yeah.
Sure. I can do
Knowledge engineering, you say?
Knowledge engineering, you say?
This is
that. Wow.
sorry
Okay.
for Sharut. This is clearly not something you would recognize.
Cool.
Because you just wouldn't. Like your people would not have this. Delian, this seems to be some sort of mummer's wagon. It is very compact, and but it possesses the ability to get much larger and has probably some sort of stage built in.
Oh, very cool.
And it's just kind of loud. You see that it has a trio of horses on it that all look to be, at a glance, you would say that these are probably donkeys, but those donkeys seem to be wearing like the kind of raiments that you would put on like a noble's horse or like a knightly horse.
I mean, presentation's everything.
Presentation's everything, right? And it's just loud and moving towards all of you on. Well, it's not necessarily moving towards you. It's just traveling to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see the person who's at the front of the wagon. It is either sort of a small, wide human or sort of a tall, wide dwarf. It's a little hard to tell. You can mostly make out an overly large forehead and a shitload of beard. There's just a lot of beard there.
Oh, it's a lot going on.
It's basically just like that is hair wearing boots, and from out of the hair are two hands that are holding the reins for the wagons. And
That's really good.
And one of the hands lets go of the reins and just sort of waves to all of you as they're making their way by.
I'll shout to them, "Beware, there's something out in the grass there. Just letting you know. Seems pretty aggressive."
And you'll see the person kind of nod, like, oh yeah. Yeah, and to all of you, I'd tell you maybe keep an eye on Charon, eh? We was just there, and most small places welcome a mummer's troop, but not them. Don't know why.
Shame. They're lost.
And
The
he calls back in the wagon, and he goes, "Hey, Smagus, Cinna, saying there's something dangerous on the road. Load the bows." And the side of the wagons drop down, and you see that they do have some sort of like stage thing, probably where they could put on maybe puppet shows or something. And then you see them start loading these things in that just have a lot of holes. And then you see
They've got,
bolts,
like,
and then you see bolts
shit.
start getting pressed into the holes.
It's got a hwacha on the side of the
Yeah.
fucking cart. Amazing.
Jeez Louise. That's awesome.
And he goes, "Good on you. Pleasant travels."
you too.
Damn, that dude's sick. I love Mummer's troops.
I love Mummer's troops. They don't fuck around. I mean, they get paid to fuck around, so like they do, but like they don't fuck around.
Man, like they fuck
Professionally.
around and like, yeah, professional. They're for real serious about their fucking around.
You come up to them and you're like, "Do you fuck around?" And they're all like, "Fuck around and find out."
And you guys are another 100 or so feet down the road when you just hear something that sort of sounds like a gong. Like it's just this loud like, and it's followed by this like, and then somebody shouting, "Did we get it?"
I mean, do we want to go see if they got it or just carry on?
Unfortunately, we've got a horse that needs to be reshod properly. We've got to move on, but he'll spare a glance back just to see if the wagon's being like accosted.
Once you guys get farther along, like with the rolling hills and like the boulder fields and the really tall grass, you can't really tell. You still hear all the bells, so that could either mean that the wagon's still moving, or it could just mean that the wind is blowing.
Yep. Well, best of luck to him.
So, with that, the group will then make it into Charon. And I
Would.
will stop clicking the thing and actually just activate the scene. Ugh.
Look
Oh,
at
all
these
my
people
friends.
here.
No. And
Wait, we've
Oh,
been
they're
here
all gone
before.
now.
Oh no, they disappeared.
We stopped
My
looking
eyes.
at them for just a second.
They're
I
just
still blind?
illusions.
I left and it was replaced by me. So yes, you're all back in Charon. You are probably rolling in a little bit after sundown. It's not. It didn't take all that long to get there when you were leaving from Charon to Exile. Standard sort of day's travel. But considering that you left a little bit late because Leon had to find Exile of Garenfurt, and then you had to stop and change the shoe of the horse, and the horse is limping. You made okay time, but it is after sundown, and it's like the middle of spring, so that means that it's the equivalent of being 8-ish. You spend a good amount of time on the road, but you are all back in Podunkville, USA. I mean Podunkville, Brayland. It is this about as small as you can get a village and still call it a village. From experience, Dandarin, because the last time you were here, you raced the other wagon leader to the inn. That they have 4 private rooms at this inn. So as for what's still available, you don't know, but you know that they don't have a ton. It's not like everybody can have their own room to do their own thing.
We'll see what they have available.
While you're checking, it may be wise to see if you can purchase a sheep or a pig from a local farmer, preferably dead before we leave, so that we can just leave that on the roadside as a bit of a distraction for this interminable tigers that seem to be following us.
As long as it distracts them and we're all right
Sure.
with it not being alive.
Shorut also have idea for distraction.
Is it a grenade?
Can make potent scent. Make smell like weak prey. Will attract predator. Put on something fast. Make it go in opposite direction.
Alternatively, we put on Delian. Say goodbye to Delian.
Nah.
Get Delian out of back of wagon.
This has been long time coming.
Let me tell you, it's going to be much harder to get rid of me than just kicking me out.
This is Waganto.
Stupid. So stupid.
Do you know the number of groups that Delian has been a part of that didn't want him to be a part of it? It's basically every group he's been a part of.
Let me tell you, I don't know if you've noticed, I can be mildly irritating.
I don't know if you've seen.
I have not picked up on this at all, but I have heard stories from Zerect.
Oh.
Says Frasidna, completely deadpan with that, sort of typical Karnathi humor of, we don't understand humor, so here's a lie.
That sucks. I think you would be a great, did you just lie?
She goes, no, of course not. I would never lie to you, Deline. You're a good friend and someone that I like having around. I don't find you annoying at all.
Well, that's very good.
Damn, she killed him.
So she was lying.
I
And
don't,
here I thought to put you in the back of the cart.
I don't know why you think someone valuing you is a lie, but maybe that has something to do with some sort of a self-confidence issue.
It might be. Something I have to look into.
I'm so glad you guys get along.
So what I was thinking is, I can make a wild animal musk
Okay.
from Craft Alchemy, and it basically says a target splashed with these smells smells like weak prey to predators. Creatures with the scent ability can detect a marked creature at 5 times the normal range, note its direction as a free action, pinpoint it within 25 feet, and track it by scent with a +5 bonus to survival. So basically it's like, let's put this on something that'll go far away, and they'll chase that instead. It's my idea.
Okay. So basically, you wanna what Quintus is suggesting is like get an animal, and take it with us so that we can just throw it at them if they come close. And you're like, no, we get an animal, we rub this on it, and then we just let it go, and they chase that instead.
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay. Well, you guys can all you can check in on that in the morning.
I will check out what accommodations are available this evening.
Yeah, and they are when you get there. There's already a wagon kind of in the back over here, and you like kind of sidle yours up to it, and they let you know that there's already two of the rooms. Two of the rooms has already been taken. You can have the other two if you want.
Yes, I believe we will.
Yeah, it's 3 gold apiece.
Right, here you go. And do you have accommodations for horses?
I mean, there's a fenced-in wagon yard, and that's mostly
You
what
have
we got as far as
have a
accommodations.
stable lad or a farrier.
We can get one of the local lads to take care of things. If you need an
One of my
actual,
horses.
if you need an actual farrier, there's, we got people in town who shoe horses. It's easy enough to find.
Right. Well, we'll need to see the ferry in the morning. If I could get a recommendation.
If your horse is throwing shoes, you don't want to wait till the morning. You want to pull those off now.
All right.
Otherwise, I mean, they sleep standing up. He's going to be standing on it for the next 12 hours.
Oh, then good recommendation. Quickly, please. And he'll pass 2 gold over.
And he goes, "You city folk, you can just put the bit and bridle on, but you don't know a damn thing about big animals, do you?"
No, I make the shoes. I don't shod them myself.
Ah, yeah. No, that makes a bit more sense. And yeah, basically the best thing you can do based on like your rudimentary knowledge of animals and this man's recommendation is probably just take that shoe off the horse. Maybe take the other shoe, like if it's the back one, which it is, it's like the back left. Take the other back shoe off, because otherwise it's got this painful shoe on it, and it's just going to be standing on it the whole
I
night.
will go ahead and just because I know that horses don't need shoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just take the shoes off the back.
Okay.
The horse.
Yeah, and it stands a little bit easier once that's done. So
I'll give him some extra oats and apple.
cool. So yeah, you feed them. For everybody else, what would you like to do? Anything that you'd like to do before you bed down for the night?
Check
Yes.
in at the
actually.
store, but yeah.
No, after you.
Oh, I'd like to check in at the store, which I believe is the
Yeah, at the Wise One's
magic
house.
thing.
Yeah. So when you go there, you may remember from the last time that this was sort of a store / house, and it had a sign that he sort of flipped from open to close, and he said that if if it said it's closed and you really need it in, just knock, and if he's home, he'll open it up. But otherwise, he does keep like hours. And when you go there, there is a closed sign in the window.
I'll rap on the door.
Okay, and let me check. He does not come to the door.
Turns to the inn.
I didn't hear what you said.
Lumiel will return to the inn then, and find a place where he can read all night.
Okay, yeah, find a place where you can read all night. That's easy enough. You can just sort of sit in the common room, and so if you're sitting in the common room, as far as bunking, what do we got? We have rooms. They are private rooms. They each have one bed, and you got 2 of them.
Charut will probably sleep on the floor, but before that, he wants to go to the tavern.
Okay, so I'm gonna say for Sidna volunteers to take the. Or sorry, not for Sidna. Tertia volunteers to take the bed in one of the rooms.
Wow.
Well, Quintus will acquiesce to that and has his own bedroll. So
Okay, so I imagine it's Tertia, and then Charut and Quintus sleeping on the floor in one room, and then
And yeah, Andrew will because I have the 2 bedrolls in addition to the private bed. So
okay, so apparently it's gonna be for Sidna and Tertia each get to actually sleep in a bed. Unless
I guess
Delian, you ask for the bed. If you ask for it, Forcinda will give it to you.
But
But when Dandarin starts laying out a bedroll, she's like, "Well, shit, why not?"
I think what he'll do is, what do I have? I thought I had something fun. I think he'll pull out a bedroll as well,
Okay.
and he's like, "Nah, I can't just."
I will go down, spend a little time in the tavern, and then I'll take first watch on the wagon.
All right. So Sharut and Dandarin, the two of you wanted to spend some time in the tavern room.
Not the tavern room in the hotel.
You wanted to go to the other tavern.
Yeah, because I was there last time.
Yeah, maybe speak with Vorji. Okay, so you'll go down there. Dandarin, is there anything specific you're trying to get in the tavern, or are you just mostly like, I would like a beer, please?
It's basically he's just being sociable before
Okay.
he goes and stands watch over the wagon.
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple of travelers coming through, but there's only really one wagon, and that wagon seems to be a trio of merchants and then a trio of guards on the wagon. The merchants are all humans, the guards are all half orcs, and they're kind of sitting near each other, but not really like speaking to each other. Otherwise, there's a couple of other travelers that are like just on their own, or in pairs, but they're remember, like, this is sort of the outsiders in town, or the outsiders tavern in town.
I'll briefly introduce myself and just ask if any of them are heading up north.
From the information that you get, the other wagon is heading up north, and all of the like paired groupings are heading up north. But two different people that are alone. One is a human woman. The other is a Korovar male. They are both going south. One of them says they're going to New Seer. The other one says that they're going further than New Seer. They're basically walking their way to Stern Gate.
Oh, see. Are you from New Seer? You're just going to visit?
And the one that you're talking to, the who's going to New Seer, the Korovar male, he says, "Well, I've been on the other side, and it took a while to get the word to where I was, but eventually people found out that New Seer existed. So then I had to get back around to this side. It took a long time, but saved up enough Galifar to actually get on an airship, fly over the mists, and land in Star Alaska.
See,
Seer
well,
was
if you're
my
heading
home,
to New
so I figured now New Seer is my home."
heading to New Seer ourselves, setting out in the morning, you're welcome to join us for the trip back.
Yeah, if you're willing to have me, I'm more than happy to meet up with people on the road. I don't have much in terms of trade, but when we get to town, if you know anyone that can use a good tailor, I'm willing to pay you back down the line.
Well, that sounds just right to me. I'm Dandarin Saranath, chief blacksmith of New Seer.
Oh,
I like to pick your brain at some point for tips, as I'm looking to learn a bit about tailoring for armor smithing and the such.
well, they don't much go together unless you're just looking at making some brigandine a little bit less ugly. But
You have to make it for people with a high sense of fashion. It must be both practical, which I can do plenty, and quite fashionable, which I can do somewhat.
It just shoots you an evil eye from around the corner.
and
I can do fancy, damn you.
he goes, "Well, I've got a host of experience with tailoring, my own designs, and others, but I lost well, the whole shop really. But if you need some ideas for making things a little bit more searing, I'm sure there's something I could help with there." And he'll hold a hand out to you, and he goes, Clarice Wrighton."
Oh, Mr. Wrighton, it is a pleasure to meet you.
And Dandarin, can you give me a knowledge local? You didn't actually have a lot of like experience in Seer, right? You're basically like fulfilling family obligations.
basically.
Okay.
Um,
If you would like to give me a knowledge local at a -2.
Wow.
Jeez.
Hey, bud.
This man was a national treasure. He was someone who was just like one of those people that like created the things that Seer was known for. Because one of the things that Seer was known for was fashion. And you know, he's a Korovar, so like he might look like he's an adult, but he might have been an adult for the last 40 or 50 years. Yeah, this is somebody whose name extends beyond the borders of that country.
so, just to clarify, are you the Ferris Wrighton?
And he kind of like smiles a little sheepishly, and he's like, "Well, I would never refer to myself as the Clarice Wrighton, but yes, I'm likely the one that you're thinking."
It's an absolute pleasure, then. One of my traveling companions, sure will be very, very happy to meet you.
Well, I'm always happy to meet children of Seer.
Do you mind if I went and fetched him before he finishes going in the evening?
Sure. He's not gonna be asking me for a life story, would he?
Oh, I doubt it. He's quite proper. I'm sure he'll just want to introduce himself for the evening and
Sure.
talk at you more in the morning.
And he
Wonderful.
kind of nods and he goes, of course, sure.
Excellent, excellent. As he's heading up, he'll pass by the tables that are heading north, and he'll just give them heads up, like, hey, there's been some issues, so, like, keep an eye out. Big beasties on the road, harassing travelers. Going up north, just be extra cautious. Then he'll go up to a room with Tercia and Quintus.
Quintus has just kind of predictably expected that there's not going to be much in this town for him, and in the scramble for rooms, you know, with other people heading off to read and hang out at the tavern, he's like, this is a good time to just settle down and set my bedroll in a place where I want it to be and not get last pick. So has taken the time to do so. But as Dandrin enters, or indicates he's there, he's already got his things down, and approaches the door. Yes. Was there something that you needed?
Well, it turns out we're going to have one more traveling companion with us tomorrow, and given who you are and what you know, I thought you'd be happy to know that Ferris Wrighton is returning home to see her, and we will be his escorts.
How much does Quintus know about this man?
I mean, same check. Give me a knowledge local check. You would get it with a +2, because you're actually from Seer.
Okay. I have a slightly. Oh, this is fine. I'm not even going to roll the other one.
Clarice was basically the sort of like so you would do your things where you kind of like disappear for a decade and then come out with like designs, and those designs would, like, you know, trickle on down through like the nobility and the fashionistas and the entire culture, right? And there was some time where like the reason that Seer was the jewel of Galifar was very much because of art that was coming out of the Face Spires. And as far as the clothing of that, for the last 50 to 60 years, the person who is able to sort of translate that and keep it relevant for the longest was Clarice Wrighton. He was sort of like the tailor, the fashion designer of Seer for a long time. So you might not be intimately familiar with him. You definitely know his work. And given your role and given his skill, his work would probably be the only work that you know of in Seer, fashion-wise, that was worth taking back through the Shadespire. Not just, you know, being nice on this side.
Makes sense. At that, Quintus like claps a hand on Dandrin's shoulder and he says, could you repeat the name, please?
Clarice Wrighton.
That
Yes.
is what I thought you said. Yes, please.
Yes,
Introduce
he's
us properly.
That Clarice Wrighton. Oh, well, come on then. Yeah, Eberron will rush Quintus down to introduce him to Clarice Wrighton.
Yeah, and when you bring down Quintus, Clarice will... Oh, is this your friend?
Indeed. Quintus, may I introduce Clarice Wrighton?
It's well, I can say that I've known of your work for quite some time. Your innovations with the campaign fringe, just fascinating. Honestly, just something that we hadn't seen before in all of the time that I had spent in the country. And honestly, a very useful thing, just remarkably useful thing to have taken out into other places.
Well, there was a reason why the Talentans have worn it for so long. I just used what was kind of already happening with Siren fashion and added what they knew already worked. The two of them came together wonderfully.
But the marriage of them was phenomenally well executed, and frankly, I don't think that anyone your lesser could have done it. As something of a, well, all of us have a measure of the Siren appreciation, but as a connoisseur and, dare I say, initiator of some of these trends, your handling of them and taking them to the next level is just masterful. If you recall, actually, that brief period, what was it? I'll describe the edit. You'll have to let me know. It's been some time. With tasseled short capes, there was just a brief trend there. I brought that forward.
Ah, you're the one. Well, yes, we did what we could to turn it from... It was actually interesting how that sort of altered itself over the following decade, because it started as a tasseled short cape and then became less about the cape and more about the tassels, and then turned itself into a pauldron, and by that point it had just become kind of an overwrought epaulet that the queen decided would go on her captains.
I must admit I caught mostly the front and back end of that scenario, but yes, the evolution of it is certainly worthy and interesting.
And
Quintus will just kind of like slide into a seat across from this guy.
Yeah.
And start talking shop.
Yeah. This is a man who, like, he has an intense knowledge of, like, Siren artistry, focused around fashion, but in general, just Siren artistry.
Mm-hmm.
And can you give me a diplomacy check or gather information check, something like that?
I will note that a gather information check for me will use knowledge local.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and I'll do that again. That's better.
Yeah. So what you're able to find out from speaking with Clarice is that he was shopping for dyes, like when the morning happened, of course. He was shopping for dyes in Gatherhold, which is I will jump to the map real quick because I don't know if I've mentioned Gatherhold. So if we have the Mornland, his sort of shop was located in Making.
Mm-hmm.
He was here.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And he says he was shopping for dyes, and then I walk into a store, and I'm purchasing some things, testing some powders, seeing what works. I hear a commotion outside. We walk outside, and staring across the lake, there's a 300-foot tall screaming fog, and... Well, the money that I had didn't last me long, and once I found out about New Seer, which granted took a while, it's not like its founding was immediate. I made what I could, serving as a tailor in Gatherhold, but the Talentan fashion is different from Siren appreciations.
He says that, and we both know that he means inferior.
He probably doesn't. He just thinks it's different. They dress very tribally. They incorporate like bones and feathers and beads and like the halflings of the Talenta Plains are nomadic tribals who like ride dinosaurs and like their entire lifestyle is different from anything in Seer. And so going from like, yes, I was the height of fashion in Milan to like I was the height of fashion in the Amazon. Like, it's a completely different thing, right? And he says, once I found out, it's taken me nearly 6 months just to get this far.
Well, I don't imagine that your concerns with coin will plague you too much longer. If you are interested, I'd like to introduce you personally to Prince Orgev, as one who is dedicating so much to preserve what he can of our homeland. Having a true artist such as yourself, I think, is something he would appreciate.
Give me a sense motive check. So when you say it, it's subtle, but you see the raise at a corner of his lip. And it's kind of and he goes,
that should have been a 24. I don't know why that didn't add the plus.
Because you had clicked on the wagon and not.
Oh, that's why. Yep.
Yeah. You rolled.
So that was a 24.
Because I made it so everyone can control the wagon. So yeah, you then you catch it a little bit more. Like you see the corner of his lip raise, in like a faint sneer, but it like quickly goes away, and he goes, maybe in time. I prefer to see more of what the people want than to immediately set about clothing, well, the higher class. I believe
reasonable approach.
Rulers should emulate their people, less the other way around.
Well, if nothing else, there's a history of that fashion and the culture surrounding it that's important to maintain. And I would agree that there's no better way to do that than to distribute it amongst the people, who will remember and value it and treasure it for the memories that it brings forward.
Yes, and I've been picking up what I could about the town as I was traveling, and I've heard that there's a large collection of shifters, usually the rural types who weren't really able to make it into the major towns, as well as, some of the city goblins, half-orcs, orcs, the like, who have taken up a small residence there. And given my recent stay in the plains, I'm wondering if I might be able to combine, a bit of Siren ingenuity with what I've learned over the last few years to give us a proper Siren step in fashion.
I think that starting from the simple working man and moving forward with a sense of dignity and remembrance is absolutely the way to move forward.
Yeah. And you see that, unlike you, Quintus, all in black everything, clearly still in the mourning phase of the Mournland. Claris is not. He's not dressed ostentatiously, but it's more like he's dressed. It's weird. It's almost like he's a very precise woodsman.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It looks like somebody who's is meant to be traveling, but every decision was carefully curated in what he's wearing. And so he nods and he goes, something that remembers, yes, but I think that 4 years may be enough time that mourning could be over. Perhaps bringing a bit of color back to Sirens would be worthwhile.
I know that there are others that would appreciate that.
And so the two of you can talk Siren fashion late into the night. You can get he doesn't tell all about his ideas, but he kind of hints at the sort of things that he's thinking of.
Yeah, of course.
And then moving on, Sharut, you went to the bar.
Indeed, I did.
This was the bar that was very much not really a bar. It's more of this is a still and people drink here. or sorry, this is a distillery. There we go. And people drink here. But yes, it's you walk in, there's a bunch of farmers, or just laborers from around town, and everybody looks your way. And once they look your way, someone else will look your way, and then someone else will look your way, and very slowly, the whole bar just goes silent, and there's just a bunch of humans and orcs and half-orcs all just looking at you.
Sharut continues on his business and looks for Vorji.
All right. Yeah, you'll be able to find him. I mean, he's a pretty kind of big boy, and you see him sort of in the back of the bar, sitting at a table with a couple of other dudes, and he's got on his big overalls and his big stank ass boots. And, you see a trio of hats sitting on the table, and all of them have some sort of glass in front of them. None of the glasses are the same size. None of the glasses are the same material. Some of them are like, this is a tin cup, and some of them are like, this is a clay jug. But they all have something, and they're all kind of like drinking from it, and talking and laughing to each other. And as you sort of move up, Vorgy will look at you and go, well, if it ain't Shawroot.
Vorgy, doing well. Shorut hope.
Oh, me and my friends is always doing well. What do you need, Shawroot? Surprised to see you back in town. You said you wouldn't be back in town for a few months now.
Much faster than Shorut thought. Going back to New Seer.
Oh, why you going back to New Seer? Ain't got nothing on you, do they? If so, you stab them and you get out of there. Not a trustworthy bunch of individuals in New Seer.
Nothing like that. Shorut have business. Must be seen to.
And he kind of like tisks with his teeth. There's that like, business with Sirens never turns out well. Nope, you can't trust them. They're basically animals, Shawroot. They go raiding, they go hunting where they shouldn't. They chop down trees, widening roads that shouldn't be widened.
Shorut understand you have much different experience with New Seer than Shorut.
Well, I hope you recognize that, at some point you might just need to get on out of there. Because, like I said, not a good place.
We'll take advice to heart.
You can't...
But for now, is there like a waiter, or is this like more of a distillery where you go up and you pick up a round and then you bring it back to the table?
I mean, there's no waiter, but it's either like you go and you pick it up, or you sort of raise your hand and yell and somebody brings you something.
Okay, Shorut will raise his hand and say, round for this table. Kind of squeeze in with his buddies. He's just going to insert himself into the table.
Yeah. This is... you've been to a lot of places where it seems like they have like, we have taller seats so that the halflings and the gnomes and the goblins don't feel awkward. This isn't one of those places. So you're less able to like sit and be part of the table, and more that you have to do like kind of an awkward squat if you want to be able to see like above the table. But when you do that, the other man will kind of look at Borgie and he'll nod, and you see him hold up two fingers like he's measuring something small as he looks at the bartender. Like he holds up two fingers kind of close, and as you climb into the seat and you get yourself situated, the bartender will come over with a tray and just like lay out a mismatched quartet of glasses that all seem to have just a little splash of something pale in it.
Wait, how big are the glasses?
I mean, it's a cup, but none of them match. That's what I'm saying. Like they're just
okay.
It'd be like if you got a shot glass and the other dude got a whiskey glass, and somebody else has got like a stein, and then somebody else just has like a drinking cup. Nothing matches.
Okay. Shorut will give the man, I'd say 2 gold.
Sure. He looks at it like his eyes go a little wide, and then he just kind of nods to you, and he pockets it and walks away.
He knows he overpaid, but he doesn't care. So after he gets situated and he has his drink in hand, Shorut is going to say, Shorut did want to warn Vorgy. Issues on road coming south. Have run into white tigers. Illegal to kill, apparently. Like, the apparently is filled with disdain.
And one of the guys to Vorgy's left just kind of starts like
And Shorut continues, possible may try to attack livestock. Suggest taking steps to avoid loss.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do there. And he looks at the guy next to him and he goes, hey, Brent, why don't you go ring the bell so people close up their animals inside tonight? And the guy nods and he downs the rest of his drink, and he starts walking towards the entrance of the bar, and then he leaves.
After he leaves, Shorut will look back at Vorgy and say, No, Sharut. Have not been gone long, but have heard of anything about Margul raids?
Couple days after you left, there was something. Somebody said that there was attacked a few days before you got here. Actually, they sort of fought back, and then some bugbears killed the driver, and horses just kind of ran, and then the wagon crashed. They got off, ran through the forest, and basically just got lost for a couple days. And then when I got back to the wagon, everything was gone. I mean, fucking. They said the horses were still alive, even. So they just took them, came into town. But that was the only one that we heard of. So I guess technically I heard something, but also technically it happened before you asked.
Yeah, that's fair. Sharut kind of does like a little, and then he think he would produce a map. Possible you can pinpoint where a raid happened.
They said it was to the south. It wasn't me what was in it. You know, I told you that before. I don't really leave the town much. I've been to Jacka's Neck a couple times. Maybe once a year I go up to Star Alaska. They said it was south. So I imagine it happened south.
Sharut understand. And he rolls the map back up and downs his drink real quick.
He goes, I'm surprised to see you in town there, though, Sharut. I thought you said you weren't coming back for a few months now.
Was expecting journey to be much longer, but again, business takes Sharut elsewhere.
What kind of business?
I must check back in with Darlaw, give an update.
What's Darlaw? Is that some sort of, like, goblin rank or something?
No. Darlaw, Sharut's, word, what word? Boss.
Matron. Boss. Supervisor.
Boss.
All right, yeah. So, what kind of update are we giving to Darlaw?
Journey to Stars Lasker. Strangeness of city. Findings underneath.
Look, I told you that before you left. You can't trust anyone that lives in a city where they don't know the first name of at least half the people that live. It means the city's too big. It's too impersonal. Your city gets impersonal, then people just... And he kind of like slams a fist into his palm. And he goes, city gets too impersonal, then you just, you get conflict.
Sharut's nodding as he speaks.
That's why you keep things small, Sharut. You keep them real close-knit. Don't let those from outside come in and ruin things for you.
Can I do a sense motive?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. Yeah.
Hold on. He definitely dislikes outsiders. Like, all of them.
Including Sharut.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised he puts up with me.
Actually, with your sense motive, how can I put it? Something's off here. That's what I can tell you. Something's off here. You get that he absolutely finds you distasteful, but he's basically giving advice and being somewhat friendly. But it's very much a false like face that he's presenting for you.
Okay. I might have an idea, but I might be off base. Okay. Sharut nods to his statement, and basically he starts complaining about Stars Lasker's bureaucracy. Like, he goes on a bit of a rant about it.
Yeah, and it seems like he absolutely agrees with you. He goes, "That's what I'm telling you. Too many people. You get too many people." And when you do that, you have people whose only job, and that's what I'm telling you, Sharut, their only job is pushing paper. And those people, they got no backbone. That's the kind of guy, look, here's what I'm telling you. And he kind of like, you see him reach under the table, and he takes out this huge machete, and he puts it on the table. And he goes, I'm carrying this because every now and then, as I'm walking from building to building, or as I'm going from field to field, there might be like a wolf that runs out, and I might have to fight it off. There might be bandits coming for me and mine. You know, those kind of outsiders that just come in and ruin things. And you can trust the kind of people that solve their own problems like that. You can trust, I see you're armed, you got your little bows over there, maybe a little knife on your hip.
those people that push papers, those aren't people that actually solve problems. Those aren't real like citizens who care for the well-being of those in their town. Those are just closed-minded people out to make another coin. And that's not what we need more of. You get a city that big, you get a lot of people there who are just pushing paper and trying to make another coin. Trying to make another, oh, I just gotta hear the ring, the silver on the gold on the copper. And
He's just kind of, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No.
No. I was just gonna say he's like nodding and listening, and then basically says, "Shouldn't agree. There are those who work without purpose in that city. No real function."
Yep.
And then he gets up out of his seat and nods towards Vorji and says, "Sharut, thank you for speaking and listening.
Yeah, sure. You stay safe out there, okay?
As you and your people, Vorji."
Yeah. And thanks for the warning. And like kind of as he says that, you hear this loud ringing. This just like clang, 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 clang.
Cool. Yeah, he'll go back to the inn.
Okay. And as you're walking back to the inn, you're seeing a lot of people who are dressed very similar to Vorji. And they're basically like moving very quickly from building to building. And you see like, you know, these buildings over here, like there's a farmer who has opened this gate and he's moving like a couple of cows and a couple of pigs like actually into the building.
Are they equipped similarly?
Everybody that you see here is armed. They're all armed with tool weapons, but they're all armed. So everybody has like hammers or axes or machetes and stuff like that. Like, you know, you might see the occasional pitchfork or even just a shovel, but everybody is carrying something they can beat someone with.
Okay.
And by the time you get all the way to the inn, you are the only one left outside. And for those who are in the inn, like Quintus and Dandarin and Delian and Lumio, there is a point where like a bell kind of goes off. Like you hear a loud bell ringing, and the innkeep will walk over to the trio of merchants, and he'll say like, "Hey, all of you gonna need to go out, get your horses, bring them into the room." And Lumio, since like Dandarin by this point is like, you know, kind of in his cups, he'll look at you and be like, "You'll probably want to do the same. Go grab your horses, get them inside. They can just
Lumio will do his best to do that thing.
They can hang out here in the common room for the night. You don't want to."
I assume there's some kind of threat.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what it is. I'm just saying, if they're ringing the bell, there's something out there. And usually, if they're ringing the bell like that something might be bandits, it might be horse thieves, it might be packs of wolves. But you know, if some forest trolls come rampaging through town, it's usually just safer for you and yours if, you know, you and yours are inside. And part of yours, at least at the moment, are those horses.
Thank you. And Lumio has been kind of shifting his way, still regarding him, but like backing towards the door.
Yeah.
To get and then he goes out and hopes that the horses are not tied to the wagon, because that'd just be cruel at this point, and brings them inside.
No, I imagine that the horses were like, you know, like left to, well, they probably had their like night blanket on and that sort of stuff. But yeah, you can just bring them inside. And yeah, so and kind of as you're doing that, and you know, you bring them inside, and everybody can kind of just chill for the night. Sharut, you are probably the only one that knows why the bell was rung. Everybody else is just content to lock down and make sure that they're armed. But yeah, and then eventually, if you'd all like, you can all go to sleep. And then you wake up in the morning, and it's none of you have been savaged by tigers in the middle of the night.
That's my favorite thing.
I do enjoy that.
Yeah, not getting savaged by tigers is high up there on the list of things I want to do regularly.
I mean, for the most part, not being blank by tigers is usually a pretty good statement.
Blank,
yeah.
Blank by tigers, like not like an actual blank, like underscore.
Yeah,
could
be
like a cool like band name or album title, and then each
Blank by
song
tigers.
is just a new verb.
Yeah.
That's
Uh-huh.
actually a really sick idea.
I'd listen to that band. I'd listen
I
to their
would too.
discography.
Yeah.
I'd listen to the whole. I'd listen to it twice.
I have to go tell Jake this right now.
Yeah. So in the morning, as everybody's packing up to go, Lumio, did you want to go back to the Wise House before you left town?
I do.
Okay. So yeah, you go back to the Wise House. You knock on the door again. It still says closed. But since it's the morning and some time has passed, you see this thing happen where like sort of a ghostly hand flies over to the sign and then flips it so that it reads open, and then the ghostly hand kind of flies down and unlatches the door and opens the door, and then from further back in the house you hear, "Hand me a second, I'm still making coffee."
Oh, of course. Shall I wait outside?
You can come in.
Thank you. And he'll enter.
And so I know Lumio wanted to go to the Wise House. Did anyone want to go with him?
I'll go with them.
Okay. So the two of you are over in the Wise House, and Sharut, you haven't been in here before. It is think of it as being like that mix between being an antique store and a magic shop. And you know how antique stores always hit that point where it's like, you guys probably should have stopped buying stuff a while back. And then they never do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that, but with like magical gigas and trinkets and doodads and whatnots.
Flimflammery.
A lot of flimflammery, a little bit of shenaniganery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and eventually you will see Curlet appear from the back, and Lumio, you recognize him. He looks a little different. His hair isn't quite as like finely coiffed as when you saw him before, but the clothing's the same. Like the clothing looks like it's well tailored, but about 15 years out of style. Just very, things seem like they're very tight around the end of the limbs, and then sort of loose and billowy towards the start of the limbs. So he's basically wearing like jodhpurs and like a puffy, frilly kind of shirt with a tight waistcoat over it. He carries a mug of something steaming in one hand, and he carries a cane in the other. And it seems like he cares a lot more about the mug than the cane. The cane occasionally hits the ground, but it hits the ground so irregularly you can just tell that he doesn't need it. And
very good. Okay. Good morning to you. I passed through here some time ago and was looking for some items that might be of use to someone who travels frequently.
yeah, I remember you came through about, what was it, about a week ago or more? A little bit more than that, yeah. You didn't have the flag at the time, but I remember, well, you don't often see a warforged wearing a weird hat like that.
Indeed. I still wear it. You wouldn't happen to have a standard bearing apparatus of any type, would
You mean like a one of the ones? Do you mean like the tall polearm, like a flag, like a flag bearer would wear, or do you mean more of something that like a goblin of old would wear?
I think more similar to what a goblin of old would wear.
So you want like a Sashimono sort of back harness thing? I might have something like that. I'll have to go into the basement and look. Give me just a second here. And he
Would
looks
very
to
much
you
appreciate that.
and he goes, "And you, what do you need?"
Shadow peruse potions if have any.
I've got some potions, yeah. It's more of a, I know my inventory. What are you looking for?
Probably best for you to search for Lumio request.
Sure, I'll do that. If you don't mind, since I have to take a step downstairs, if the two of you could wait outside for a moment.
Fair.
And
Yes, of course.
And the two of you, like, you go outside, you wait there for a minute, like, the door locks again. And then after about 10 minutes, the door unlocks and you can come back in. And he's got this thing that he's holding out to you there, Lumio, and it looks like a sort of a complicated belt / shoulder harness. It's a belt, and then there's like a at where the back of the belt is, there's leather that runs up to 2 loops that you would then put around your shoulders. And it looks like that somewhere in that piece of leather, you would put in a pole that would hold a flag. It doesn't have the pole, it's just the harness. And he goes,
Excellent.
this would work for what you need, but, I mean, I got pole arms here, and I got flags, and I got the harness, but I don't really have anything that's all of that all together.
That's quite all right. I have a craftsman with us who would be able to fashion us something. I appreciate this. You said you had flags. Did you have any at the ready?
Yeah. Are you looking for magic banners, or are you looking for things that are not magic banners?
I would like to see the magic banners. I also may attempt to make a magic banner and would like to have something to work with.
Yeah. Come on over here. And he takes you to a place where, I don't know if you've ever been to like a carpet store where you see like the rugs hanging on the thing.
I used to work
sort of
one.
like, yeah, there you go. And he's sort of like moving them. And do you have nobility and heraldry as a skill?
I do.
You want to roll nobility and heraldry for me?
No, but
There are all kinds and all countries collected in this. Like you see like Brayland and various kind of like regiments from Brayland, which isn't too surprising since you're in Brayland. But you also see like Ondare, there's Thrain, there's Karnath. You see a couple of Siren ones, whether it's like an actual sort of like Siren flag or whether it's like a flag from a house of like Siren nobility. He's got about 20 in all. And, you know, like this is a podunk town. And with your nobility check, you know that none of them belong here.
these are quite varied. Quite the collection.
Yeah, I used to travel.
I must say you traveled quite broadly.
Well, you know, things only very recently calmed down.
That's quite true. Does Lumio recognize any of the Syrian military flags? Such as
Yeah. You would recognize a couple of them. As far as like, actually with your role, you would recognize the Silver Solars, the Ferals, and there's also there's a sort of a blank green flag, like the Silver Solars is basically it's like a green flag. Most of the Siren flags are green. It's a green flag that would then have like an angel that's sort of like wreathed in a silver halo, and the ferals is basically sort of a green flag, just a different shape, kind of ragged at the ends, and the symbol is just essentially a set of fangs in red. And then you see one that's like almost like a gossamer kind of thing. It's mostly green, but only if you're looking at it dead on. If you move to the side a little bit, the color kind of fades away from it until it looks white. And then when you move back to the front, it's green again. And you recognize that one as being part of an STU flag, which is kind of like a special task unit, or a situational task unit. Think of them very much as being like not quite SWAT, but also not SWAT. Like it would be something they could use to identify themselves, but you'd never really see somebody actually like waving this flag.
Would it be too much to ask for a price for all three of these?
For all three, man, you don't come small, do you?
Don't.
Well, the one with the angel on it is well, the ability that one offers is pretty good. I would probably say I could do. I would think about $4,000 for that. For the one with the teeth, a little bit less. I'm thinking maybe like probably go about 700 there. With the other one, honestly, I would need a bit of help here. I got a lot of talent in sort of identifying what things do, and I have no idea what that one does. I just know that it's magical. You maybe crack that riddle for me and 1,000. Let me identify it if I ever run across one in the future.
Okay. Well, I don't have the ability to purchase the one with the silver specters at the moment. Did I totally get that name wrong?
Silver Solars.
Thank you. Silver Solars at the moment. I am interested in the other two and could probably purchase them. Do you have any similar of the non-magical variety?
Well, I don't have a non-magical one of that. No. If you're interested in the Siren ones only, I mean, these are
yes.
pretty much the three that I got.
They hold a particular place for me, as I am traveling to New Seer shortly here.
Oh, well,
They tend
I
to
would advise that
cherish these things.
you look. I can't really tell you how to live your life, but if you're traveling to New Seer, I would recommend that you keep going right through. Sterngate can be okay, and I've heard Kinrun is, well, terrible, so I'd probably pick Sterngate.
I appreciate the guidance.
Sirens, man, they're desperate. They're not going to treat you good.
That may be. I have accepted some of their treatment as of late, and do not find it as intolerable as it may be, or may become. But that is not the case now. So,
well, if you can't afford the solas, you're welcome to buy the one for the, with the teeth, or the
allow me
the
to
shiny.
examine this as closely as I can and see what I can gather from it.
Yeah, can you give me a are you trying to examine the ferals, or are you trying to examine the STU one?
The STU, which is the one that he said he couldn't identify.
Yeah, give me a knowledge arcana check.
Yep.
Okay. So calling this a flag is incorrect. This is not a flag. Flags are used to signal. And yes, this is a thing that can be used to signal, but that's not what it is. You're fairly certain this is some kind of key. Like, this is like an arcane key, but you don't necessarily know to what.
Quite strange. If I had to guess, this is like a treasure map that only has the X on it, no identifying marks.
Huh. So you're saying it's like,
It's a puzzle piece to a puzzle that isn't present.
well, considering
I
what
feel
you've
like
been
it could
saying
unlock
about...
something, but I don't know why I feel like that particularly. It's not a standard in any shape of the imagination. Lumio's becoming enthralled with the piece, turning it around and examining it, not seeing anything new. And then with a final gasp, he sets it down aside and stares at our shopkeep.
And he goes, all right, look, if it's an X on a treasure map, I gotta imagine, based on what you've said and your interest in the ones of this color, that the details of that map are probably not going to be anywhere that I'm ever going to go. I travel sometimes. I might be the only person in this entire town that has ever actually been anywhere outside of Braylon, ever. But I ain't ever going there. I went there a couple times before, but I'm never going back. You
I might.
like I said, if you might and you want it, I'll sell it to you for the grand.
Could I convince you to give it to me with the other, the sign of the ferals here, for 14 for the both?
Give me a diplomacy check. Or an appraise. Sorry, it's not diplomacy. It's appraise. Give me an appraise roll. Appraise is used to bargain.
How about that?
Well, shit, son.
As they say, how about that?
How about that? And he goes, I'm gonna do 15. How's that?
Let me think for a minute. We hadn't discussed the price of the straps earlier. I'd happily throw those in for.
Look, that's not even magical.
Oh.
That was, I found that in Dargoon. Like, as soon as the hobgoblins left the service of House Deneath, there was some sort of tussle between the loyalists and them what left, and happened on the battlefield, and that looked to be pretty interesting. So I took it. I'll toss that in. Like I said, it's mostly just gonna hold a stick that holds a flag.
That is fair enough, but built things such as this is important. Very well. Sharut, have you had a chance to look around? Does anything strike your fancy?
Sure, it's just kind of like going through the just looking at some of the antiques, see if anything sparks his interest. Because since the potions aren't labeled, he can't really like pick and choose what he's looking for.
Give me a perception check. I mean, there's definitely stuff here that would spark your interest. There's all kinds of artifacts, but there's also like magical things, and they're just sort of mixed together. It's not that the store is messy; it's that it's unorganized. So it's not like there's just piles of stuff. But you know, like a shelf, it's very much has that sort of like thrift store kind of feel, where like the shelves just have like space for things, and he put things in that space. But you know, you're seeing as far as things that might interest Shrewt, you're seeing things like oh, I know something that might interest Shrewt. You see a hat. It looks
Another
to be
hat, you say?
it looks to be a very sort of almost nondescript bowler hat.
Shroot picks up the hat and asks, "What is?"
It's a gnomish hat. I mean,
Takes off his Stakani hat and he tries it on. Eh.
So I mean, as far as what it looks like normally, is nothing special. It's what it does. We get something out of it. And he kind of says like, just think real hard that you're like a gnome.
Shroot kind of like, you see his face kind of like twinge
No.
at the idea.
No, don't just think it. Think it into the hat.
No, like twinge in dislike.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, sure, try. And he thinks it into the hat.
Okay.
Thinks I am a gnome.
And Lumio, you see Sharut look like I imagine that of the two, he's closer to Delian, so he just looks like Delian, but wearing Sharut's clothes.
Oh no.
And then
This is bad.
the guy, like, he walks
you were
over
to
to a
purchase
shelf.
this-
He walks over to a shelf and he starts moving some stuff around, and then he like pulls this thing out and he shows it to you. And he goes, "See?"
Sharut kind of jumps back. Ah! He, like,
If you
quickly
were to
takes off the
purchase
hat,
this,
Yeah,
sees himself change back.
yeah. As soon as the hat leaves your head, it's just gone.
if you were to purchase this, Delian would be most upset.
I mean, it doesn't just turn him into whoever Delian is. I assume that's the gnome you turn into. You can shape into anything. Limitations based mostly on size. You can't really turn into a giant. Well, you can turn into a giant, but you'll be biggest you can get is about size of a dwarf.
Really?
Yeah.
Sharut puts the hat back on and thinks Dandrin.
And you see Sharut turn into a sort of smaller version of Dandrin. Like he can't quite make the height and he can't quite make the width, but it's sort of there.
If you were to purchase this, you would make Dandarin cry.
My brother.
My brother.
Brother.
You dare to wear his face? It's a +1 against goblins, right?
You dare to wear his face? I'm trying to look like you. We was twins.
Twins.
But yeah,
Those
like,
dwarves look alike to you, huh?
I mean, it's a hat of disguise. Like that's what he's showing you. It's a hat of disguise. And he goes, yeah, and it can. You don't have to keep it as a hat though. It can just turn into whatever that person is wearing on their head. So glasses, headband, hairpin, whatever. Just has to be something that's on the head.
Sharut takes off the hat real quick. How much?
It's about 1900 Galifar. It's worth it.
That's a pretty heavy price to pay. Oh boy. I don't know if I can afford it. Well, I can afford it. It's just I don't know if I want to spend that much. I'll try an appraise check.
Are you trying to bargain?
Yeah, I'm trying to bargain.
Okay. What are you trying to bargain him down to?
Said 1900.
Yeah.
We'll try 16.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
Nope.
That's not much better. And he goes, look, they're too useful. They turn your average person into a changeling. Like, it's worth 1900 if it's worth a copper.
He kind of grumbles to himself. A little
Look,
bit more.
you seem to be some sort of hat aficionado. What if you had a hat that could become any other hat?
Very good salesman.
It's almost like I run a store.
Almost. Yeah, he'll buy it.
Okay. Yeah, you pay 1,900 gold coins, and you have a hat of disguise.
Gonna
He
collectively
will.
bargain for a cheaper price, but that's fine.
Well, he could have spoken up.
And was there anything else that either of you wanted?
No, I think I've made plenty purchase here, and he will also pay.
Okay. Cool. So, yeah, as the two of you are leaving, can you give me a perception check, please, with a +2?
Of course. Perception. Yes.
No.
So, as you're walking out, you walk past an armor rack, and you couldn't really see it as you were coming in, but you can see it as you're leaving. You couldn't see it as you were coming in just because of the way the shelves are kind of arranged. But it looks like so it's an armor rack, but the armor on it doesn't quite match. And Sharut, you can tell this. Like, you grew up around Takani armor. You've seen armor that matches. Like, it's all built together. There's sort of a flowing aesthetic to the whole thing. But what you see here is basically a Thranish breastplate and greaves that look like somebody has taken like an enamel, somebody has taken some sort of scraper to them to try to get all the enamel off of them. So there's a lot of like scratch marks all over them and like little flecks of enamel everywhere. And you also see sort of a northern Brailish shield, helm, and vambraces that are in the same thing. Like, all of these are made and then they have like enamel on them to say like, this belongs to this unit. But everything, especially on the shield and on the breastplate, everything's just been scraped off. And like, it takes until you sort of like leave and then you remember that armor. And so the two of you, like, you make your purchases and you're outside and you're like, that armor belonged to somebody that was in the other caravan. Like, you've seen it before.
It was Brailish?
It's a Thranish breastplate and greaves and northern Brailish shield, helm, and vambraces. But you know that you've seen it before. And I think that's where we're going to end the stream. So thanks to everyone for watching. And we will see you all next week. Goodbye.